NathanIvy.com. Mr. Ivy know the show must go on. And far as Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised arms, closed fists, yeah, too strong. Team AI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch, nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlative, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the templates, let's be about it. Who got the info by the AM? Jono be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of Drippos. Show you where the bricks at, Cincinnati red tag. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. It's the 5-1-3, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at.
I hope that your day is getting off to a great start. Good morning, everyone. Currently a few minutes after 8 a.m. I'm Nathan Ivy, your humble host. Welcome back to the Nathan Ivy Show, powered by Sin Digital Media, a new urban voice in the city of Cincinnati, Ohio. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in. Man, we got a lot of things that I would like to put on the table for discussion this morning, including an update on our next, I'll say, gun safety and tactical training class. As I told you, we're going to get that kicked off in November. Want to give you a heads up. You can head over to wherever you listen to podcasts and download and listen to the latest podcasts from the Cincinnati NAACP, Truth to Power, and also the latest Hot Mic podcast hosted by myself and PG Sinfield, who is a white male member of City Council. We chopped it up down at Black Coffee this week. Check it out, share, comment, give us your feedback. Good morning to you. Now, coming up at 9:30 a.m. this morning, I'm scheduled to speak with Ben Lindy. Ben Lindy, as I understand it, is the current CEO of an organization called Teach for America. And there's a little bit of controversy about that. Somebody wrote an op-ed piece. A woman by the name of Michelle Dillingham wrote an op-ed piece, which was actually responded by another op-ed piece by a black female. I'm wondering, what is a Teach for America? What's the controversy all about? And who is Ben Lindy, and why does he want to be on the Cincinnati School Board? So that's at 9:30 a.m. this morning, if you're paying attention to that race, right? If you're paying attention to it. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Speaking of the NAACP, they're doing a judicial candidate forum as well on the, let me look at my calendar here, on the 21st. On the 21st. So, and I'll be there as well doing some podcasting, getting some interviews, and I may stream it live as well, right? It's coming up on the 21st. Mark your calendars. Judicial candidates should be interesting. We just had a forum, well, somewhere else the other day. I can't recall it. Good morning to you. Come on in. Every seat is a great seat. It's a front row seat here on the Nathan Ivy Show. And your Cincinnati's, is this Cincinnati's first daily digital show? Might be, I don't know. But we here. And we in charge. And good morning. It's good to see you. Good morning to the Choppers, the most intelligent of all of the Cincinnati talk radio listener audience-ship. Is that a word? Well, it will be for today. Good morning. Numerous things to discuss. Well, I want to spend some time talking about an interesting new study that was done. It's being reported from multiple sources, including The Nation. The study was actually comprised by the Institute for Policy Studies and the Corporation for Economic Development. And they looked into the trends in household wealth between 1983 and 2013, which, do the math very quickly, is a 30-year period, which captured the rise of Reaganomics. But what was the overall impact in terms of black wealth building? We'll talk about that this morning. And I posted a link to a YouTube channel from Complex News. And they did, I thought, a very interesting sort of 10-minute sweep on the whole NBA, China, LeBron thing. So if you wanted to catch up in 10 minutes, if you like that kind of, you like that kind of stuff on YouTube, check it out. It's on my Facebook page. I may get into that as well this morning. 513, matter of fact, I will get into that this morning if we have time. 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. Good morning. Are you ready? Because if you're not ready, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Are you ready? Morning, 513-873-7134. Good morning. I read something that was not good this morning. It's a local news story. Shout out to WCPO for this. And basically they followed, some folks who have been displaced down there in the West End, and just their ability to try to find affordable housing in the Cincinnati area. Have you seen this article? I want to dig into it and get some thoughts from you as well. And then there's another local article in which it comes from Avondale. And apparently there is some anxiety. Quote, they see over the Rhine and they see it coming this way. Man, that's a quote from someone in the community of Avondale. And Avondale is a beautiful neighborhood. In terms of location, it's in a beautiful location here in the city of Cincinnati. I mean, Avondale is very unique. Like parts of Avondale touches I-71. You can get on 71 very quickly, especially now with that MLK corridor, man. And then it also, you can get on 75 as well. That's I-75, the interstate, which, for some is important. Next to the zoo, close to downtown. What are you, 12 minutes from downtown? Avondale's looking yummy. Developers are looking at Avondale like, well, I won't make a crude comparison, but I'm sure you can fill in the blanks. Like, what do we have here? Did you know that Avondale has more than 2,000 abandoned homes and renters comprise 75% of the population? Think about that. Let that marinate for a second. Think about that. What does that mean exactly? Change without inclusionary change, without community engagement, and without effective communication is at its best substandard change. That's Russell Hairston, the executive director of the Avondale Development Corporation. He said that Avondale, the largest African-American neighborhood in Cincinnati, has suffered from a lack of investment, which makes it ripe for investment. And what do you think about that Avondale Town Center? Have you driven through Avondale recently? Have you done any business over there? Have you tried to rent anything over there? Let me know. Then you also got the Uptown Consortium. Did I pronounce that correctly? Consortium. Have you been to that building? You got business over there? Some do. So here's the question. What is Avondale's next major development? That's the big question for Avondale. And is Avondale going to be able to successfully do what other neighborhoods here in Cincinnati seem to struggle with? And that is develop without displace. We will find out. We'll find out. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here. It is a beautiful Friday. Now, coming up at 12:30 today, you can check out the, it's an old clip. You can check out the Is It Just Me podcast with Donnie B, Danietta Bailey. She was at the Democrat debate, so she'll give you her observations, everything that went down, and then all the stuff that happens that doesn't get caught on the camera. And she'll also be discussing the case of this boxer who I'm going to hit it a little bit myself, a boxer that was recently in the ring. He got knocked out in the ring. I watched the video and it was a knockout. I've seen these videos before, boxing. Cats get knocked out. It didn't look like it was any more savage than any other knockout. But the man goes into a coma. 4 days later, he dies. So now there's a national conversation, whether you know it or not, in some circles about whether boxing is barbaric. We're supposed to be civilized people. Speaking of the debates, let's be real here. I'll say it again. The Democrat nomination is going down to 3 people: Biden, Warren, Sanders. It is what it freaking is. That's what it is. Those are going to be the choices. Statistically, unless something unexpected happens, that's who your choices are going to be. Okay? Of the 3, who do you favor? And really, it could come down to just 2, Biden and Warren, with Sanders trailing the 2 of them by like 10 digits, like double digits, right? Not the 10 digits, but double digits, right? So what does that mean? Well, that means that, we know who we pretty much got the law of the land, right? The lay of the land here. It's going to be one of those 3. And right now it's looking like either Biden or Warren. How do you feel about that if you're a Democrat? How do you feel about that if you don't really like Trump? I'd like to know. 513-873-7134. I'd like to know. If you live in Avondale in particular, what are your thoughts? I drive through Avondale. It looks like, and I wondered to myself, what are things going to be in 10 years? People made a big deal. It was local news for good reason. When Children's Hospital wanted to expand, remember that? We had big moments. Matter of fact, that might have pretty much sealed the fate of Yvette Simpson in the sense that it had an impact in that mayoral election. Avondale. And, just like people saw it coming in over the Rhine, people were not caught off guard about over the Rhine. Nobody in Cincinnati was caught off guard when over the Rhine started to transform. Everybody knew it was going to happen. Can you remember the old over the Rhine? Did you remember the old Vine Street? The old Vine Street. Remember that? Doesn't look the same now. And people hate it. Some people hate it. I'm not going down over the Rhine. I ain't going down there. They gentrifying our neighborhoods. I'm not spending my money. Okay. Well, if the numbers from Blink are any indication, it ain't stopping nobody else. They're claiming this week that Blink had 1.5 million people through four nights. Some of that was in over the Rhine. Washington Park. So how do you develop without displace? That's the number one question. Got any ideas? I'd love to hear them. I'll share them. What does that mean for Avondale? Like I said, nobody should have been caught off guard about what happened down and over the Rhine. You saw it coming. I can still remember back to before they started doing the development, and they still had all those old buildings. But what they do is they put up these like fake storefronts that aesthetically look better than the real busted, all dilapidated, windows busted out old building, right? And once you see that, it's a wrap. I'm gonna tell you the truth, and you can. I swear on. I'm not gonna swear on Bibles because I don't really do that, but I'm keeping it real with you. I've said it before. When you see white dudes with hard hats and clipboards walking through your neighborhood, like looking like shaking their heads, you know it's coming. I saw that on not Short Vine, but Vine Street. Saw it with my own eyes. I've seen it in Warner Hills. When you see that, you already know what's about to go down. You already know. So we knew what happened in Over the Rhine. What's going to happen different in Avondale? What's different? What are we going to do different? Because if we don't, then we know what's going to happen. Same thing. Some white dudes going to come in. They're going to be in different streets in Avondale. Like, who are these white guys? With the hard hats on, it's usually like 3 or 4 of them. It's usually at least 2. They're looking at little clipboards. They're looking around, shaking their heads like, yeah, lots of money. That's when you know. I say we do what Jay-Z said, gentrify our own hood before these people do it. For those that have the resources to get that kind of thing done. But let's go to the phones. We got an early call here. Everybody's favorite, John's on the line. What's going on, John?
Good morning, Mr. Nathan Ivy and the good people of Cincinnati, as well as the good people around the world. And yes, those lovely choppers. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing excellent.
Before we get to China and LeBron James, you were talking about the race that's coming down and the polls, as I stated to you, excuse me, many times, I don't follow those stupid polls. Polls are just made up to brainwash the masses out there. And most of the time when these elections come down to it and everybody follows these polls, when the election is over, they find out the polls were way off a track. Well, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure that out. So the polls are just statistical data. And, it's almost like Fox. If you ever turn on TV and watch Fox, sometimes you got to watch your enemy and see what they're talking about. On Saturday and Sunday morning, and, they have the Breakfast Club on Fox, and they get a reporter to go out to the white restaurants. You never see them go out to the black restaurants or the Latino restaurants. Only the white people. And they're sitting out there eating their food, stuffing themselves. Oh, how do you feel about Trump? The diatribes of Trump's supporters. Oh, he's doing a great job. If the Democrats ever get in line, this is brainwash. Brainwash as usual. I do agree with you. It probably may come down to, yes, I think Elizabeth Warren will lead the pack. I've told you that many times. Biden and Bernie, they're done. They're a part of the machine, Democrat machine that's been there 40, 50 years. They need to go away. Their time has passed.
I think I can agree with that. I think a lot of people look at the same, especially with Bernie. He just had this surgery.
Heart attack.
Yeah, so 78, it ain't working. It's unfortunate. Maybe it's unfair. Maybe it isn't fair. But it is what it is.
Well, I'm like you, hey, heart attack, the signs are there. If you don't see it, do you want this guy to win the Democrat nod? He goes up against Trump. As soon as Trump goes after him, you want to see him live TV have a fallout right there when Trump starts yelling and cursing at him, calling all kind of names. No. Bernie, just take that.
Is that what you think will happen? He'll just have a heart attack on the debate stage with Trump.
You never know, Nathan Ivy. Heart attacks, if you read about heart attacks, the signs happen before it happens. And if you don't see those signs, you got so many seconds or minutes to get into the hospital. And I bet you Bernie, at his age, he doesn't exercise, you can see. The signs are there. And if you ignore it, you would be having a massive heart attack. Your clogged arteries leading into those valves, going into the heart.
I get it.
He's lucky he was able to catch it and get into the hospital.
True.
So he's got to see the signs. He's time to step away. That campaign trail, the mileage that you put in, up and down the plains, the pressure, travel. Come on. Step away, Bernie. Let it go. Just let it go. And Biden, we don't even know half the garbage him and his son was doing. This is nothing new. The Democrats do the same dirt like the Republicans do. You just don't want to get caught. That's all that comes down to it. So it's going to come down to it. And I'll bet you a TV dinner. Elizabeth Warren is going to win the nod.
A TV dinner, huh?
This is all formalities. Elizabeth Warren will win the Democrat nod.
You might be right.
People want to see change they can believe in. Oh, where have you heard that before? Oh, Barack Obama, another day, another time. But, I don't care who you put in there between now and November if the Democrat can win the White House. But if they don't take control of the Congress and the Senate, they're not going to move. We saw what happened with Barack Obama. He won the presidency 2 terms, but he didn't have the House and the Senate. And the Republicans made it perfectly clear, you're not getting nothing done. And he didn't, except for that phony health care plan. And we see the results of that. That rates of the health care is more higher than it was before. Oh, I see. Wait till my book come out. You'll find out a lot of stuff
Okay.
I talk about.
Will we?
Another day, another time.
Yes, another day, another time, John.
So now, it's going to come down to Elizabeth Warren, and you got to see the signs in the road. Either you support her or you don't support her. But if she doesn't win, if the Democrats don't take control of the Senate and the Congress, then she'll be like Barack Obama. Nothing will get done. The Republicans will make it hard for her. And they'll run stupid Trump unless you lock him up. He'll be outside, and he'll be blaming it all on the Democrats. I see how this is all playing out. So let's shift over to Barack Obama.
LeBron James. Yeah, let's do this. Yes, go ahead.
In China. Now, maybe you can explain to me. I haven't followed that scenario. Who is that? Was that Utah or one of the executives from one of those basketball teams made a statement against China? Is he out of his mind? You don't want to mess with China when China controls 30 to 40% of our stock. You don't want to mess with China where they're your biggest donors dealing with NBA basketball. Is he out of his mind? Now, I understand. Now, maybe you can fill me in and bring me up to speed on why did James decide to, as they say, from what I'm gathering, he's straddling the line as to go after this executive or not go after them, because some people suspect when he finishes basketball, he wants to control an NBA team. So he's being very careful what he says. Am I on the right track? Maybe you can explain to me.
I say, well, let me hang up the phone and then I'll explain everything. How about that?
Okay, right.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, thank you, John. I appreciate the phone call. Let me explain this to you. So let me give it to you quick and easy, and it's going to be a lot of gaps here. And as I said, there's a Facebook post that I posted last night. If you're interested in this topic, you can check out that YouTube video from Complex News, and they do a great job of giving you the what's what and what's going on. So a white male named Daryl Morey, who is the GM, that's the general manager, which is an executive position for the Houston Rockets. That's the same team that the Bearded won. And now his new, I guess, partner in basketball, hopefully crime, meaning success, Russell Westbrook, James Harden is what I'm speaking of, their team, that's a team down in Houston. So he tweeted basically support for the pro-democracy demonstrators in Hong Kong. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is that it basically sort of like, I won't say it contradicts, but it challenges the official position of one of the National Basketball Associations. Matter of fact, the biggest partner that the National Basketball Association have. There is no bigger partner than China. I didn't realize this until I watched that video, but there are over 800 million Chinese citizens that watch the last NBA season from start to finish. They love Western basketball. Chinese love the NBA. They love it. And that is double the U.S. market. So more Chinese watch the NBA times 2 than those in America. So just to give you the significance of the partnership between the NBA and China, it's damn near more important than us. So that's a very sensitive. Plus, you got all of these sneaker companies that have factories in China, so they can keep the cost of production down and the cost of the profits up. Bling, bling. And that's it. That's what it is. So Daryl Morey, said something that challenges the NBA's biggest customer. As simple as that. And when he did that, then the Chinese started reacting by canceling events. There was at least one Chinese company that backed away from an NBA partnership. Oh, no. At the same time, the NBA is touring in China. Some of these preseason games have been in China. So a few days after that, LeBron James got involved, and he basically said that Daryl Morey should have kept his mouth shut. That's what he said. And the first word out of his mouth was, he was explaining it was, hey, it's going to affect people financially. And then he said spiritually, and then he said physically or something like that. But people really honed into when LeBron James said just that. So that's what it is. the NBA, one of the NBA executives said something that challenges the NBA's partnership with their number one partner, that's the country of China. And now it's sparked an international incident. One of the funniest things I saw was a Chinese guy, and you know that crying LeBron James meme? Remember that? So he had that, and instead of it, he just had like a piece of paper, and then he had like some rubber bands, and he turned it into like a little homemade mask. They've been burning LeBron James jerseys. It's funny what makes people burn jerseys. I will say this point, like seeing those people burn those LeBron James jerseys, it makes me think just how stupid it was that Cleveland fans were burning his jerseys just because he left the damn team. I mean, one is more significant than the other. So you got these Hong Kong protesters in the streets putting their life on the line, and more than likely love them some LeBron James. They love the NBA. Then they hear LeBron James come out and basically side with the tyrants and the dictators, right? How's he any different from Trump? Now, when Trump is siding with dictators and, Millie mouthing and not really coming out straight and strong about dictators, everybody want to say, oh my God, look at him. What kind of man are you? What kind of character do you have? LeBron just did the same thing. I don't know. Like I said, the way I look at it is people are complex. People are complex, but, that's just the gist of it. Somebody posted, I don't care about this on my Facebook page. Well, why in the fuck did you post that? You got time to post that? I'm telling you, man, people in the new millennium lost their mind. Last days of common sense. Stay ignorant then. Stay ignorant. But, for folks who want to know, I mean, it'll be interesting. So you know how this is going to play out. The money is going to get what the money wants. Tell me I'm wrong. That's what's going to happen. Whatever makes money is what they're going to end up saying makes sense. That's it. The NBA doesn't want to lose them. They would rather lose an NBA franchise than lose their franchise with China. Want to do that. So that's what the deal is. Let's go to the chat this morning and see who's in the room. Ray writes, Grand Risings all. Good morning to you, Ray. Followed by Tiffany. Tiffany writes, hey. Hey to you, Tiffany. Good morning. Happy Friday to you. Kush writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers with a Z. Good morning to you. Good to see you. Brian writes, morning. Pat writes, good morning. Hey, good to see everybody. Glad that you're here. Let's chop it up. Pamela writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Morning to you. Renee writes, good morning. Hey, Renee, good to see you. Ray writes, displacement is by design. Talking about Avondale. Yeah, I read an article. They talked to a woman named, I won't put her name out there, but she's been a resident in Avondale for 11 years. She said there's two things that concern her and other Avondale residents. Would you like to know? Number one is quality housing for seniors. And number two is the possible gentrification of her neighborhood. Those are her two concerns, living in Avondale. It's real. Like Avondale is, if you want to live in Cincinnati, Avondale is great. Because look, it's closer to you than downtown. It's closer to downtown than Oakley. Yeah, Avondale will be the new Oakley. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, I'm just saying, I can see there being a market for people. These young professionals get out of college. They think they got a little money to spend, or they have a little money to spend. They want to get a nice little spot. They love the bar and night scene. Now, that might not describe you, but I'm telling you, that's a huge demographic here in the city of Cincinnati. I'm going to say this to you again. People bellyache, primarily in the black community, but white folks love Cincinnati. People love Cincinnati. When people come to Cincinnati, they are like, wow. I'm not lying to you. They love the bars. You're so close to everything, the restaurants. Here's what I get all the time. There's always something to do in Cincinnati. things done changed. And if they can get them a nice little spot for about $1,000, maybe 12, 1,400, you know what I'm saying? Little condo in Avondale. You got nice parks in Avondale. Avondale is actually a beautiful neighborhood because there's just so much to it. I'll say this again. I could blindfold you, take you to certain neighborhoods in Avondale, take the blindfold off. You would swear that you were in the suburbs. You would swear it. So what is this? Is this Hyde Park? You would swear it. I can take you to other place in Avondale and you on the hood in the block, on the block in the hood. Get it right. Any Avondale residents, have you been over to the Avondale Town Center? Is it nice? Are you currently doing some biz over there? I would like to get your thoughts on it. Please share. Brenda writes, happy Friday. Fame writes, fame is here, F your feelings. Kush writes, yes, y'all. Brother Muzone is back. See Brother Muzone. He writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Oh, man, the wife is looking. Hold on. Sorry about that. The wifey was looking scrumptious. Kush writes, preach, Nate. Yeah, that just happened. It just happened. Mason Marler writes, morning, Nate in the Choppers. Hashtag TGIF. Hashtag Flow Fade Friday. Okay, I like it. Brother Muzone is back. How you doing, Brother Muzone? He writes, good morning, Nate in the Choppers. Good to see you. Kush writes, persuasion polls. Evanston, Kush writes, Evanston also. Yeah, Evanston and Evanston too. Evanston as well. I mean, Evanston is right there on 71. Right? Got a lot of great straight streets in Evanston. They got a brand new little Evanston recreation center and a new park and a water park over there. It looks great. I haven't been over there, but it looks great. Evanston, close to Warner Hills. Kids can go to Warner Hills. Okay, what is this? Someone is giving me communications. Something is being communicated to me. Was on right. John sounds like he been doing too much Pastor Wilson. Go gargle that with Listerine to get that out your throat, John. Man, you know what? I'm so lost on the Pastor Wilson stuff. Oh, let me look this up. I know people have been talking about this. And I am. Oh, okay. This is what I thought it was. Video shows married pastor David E. Wilson eating the box of a woman who was not his wife. Oh, okay. So this is the infamous video everybody's been talking about. I haven't seen it yet. I mean, there's only one way to put it. I mean, that's nasty. Let's just get that out the way off the top. But again, I don't want to. I know that I probably got some male listeners like, "Oh, you don't like that, and then you don't do that." I'm married, maybe with her. Why she say maybe? The wifey's still here. I'm at the home studio. She is funny. She said, maybe. I mean, definitely with her. Definitely with her. Is this what you were talking about the other day? This video? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not hip to it, man. I've been looking at some other stuff, but you want to flow, and it's a Friday, so we can get into it. The show is open. We'll get serious later on, or serious again. See, how do I feel about this? I mean, as a man, I stay the hell out of other men's business off top. So I'm only going to go so far in my critique of this, just to let you know. Number 2, black men don't cheat. Black men don't cheat. So, these things can be doctored. Just saying. Somewhere famous like 2 things can be true at the same time. But just remember that hashtag black men don't tweet, don't cheat. I was gonna say tweet. Black men don't cheat. Viral video shows married pastor David E. Wilson. I tell you what, man, the next time he go to church, that's gonna be an interesting thing. Oh dear, they got the video and everything. Oh man. Oh, I thought that this is a screenshot or something. Is that? Oh man, that's not a good way to go out, Pastor. Look at that. Oh man, went out like a sucker. That went out like a. Come on, man. This is some things that a grown man should never get caught doing. I'm just saying, that's one of them. Damn. You didn't see the video? And how despicable. Whoever took that video is absolutely despicable. Let's put it that way. His family member says they don't know if the viral video is real. I don't know. This is quite interesting. And apparently he was the leader of the Black Chamber of Commerce. And what I would say to you, these pastors are nothing more than human beings. They ain't nothing more than human beings. And sometimes they get caught up in the game. As women out here, they know how to use that feminine guile. They know how to bewitch a man. They know how to make a man act like not himself. And some of these dudes are just weak. And they fall into it. It happens all the time. And then, he's a pastor. There's women who probably like, I'm going to target him primarily because he's a man of the cloth. He got a little church somewhere. Apparently, he's been a pastor for 40 years. I mean, for 40 years, think about this. Think about it another way. How many lives has he saved in 40 years? Souls has he saved in 40 years? So give him a break. Get a man a break. Y'all all up in it. Give the man some breathing room. Literally. Give the man some breathing room. Apparently, he's the senior pastor of Bible Way Ministries and World Outreach Incorporated. Okay, well, he's a serious man of God and a businessman as well. So, okay, now I've seen people on my Facebook page with this. I didn't know what it was, but so that's what it is. I kind of pieced it together contextually that there was some kind of video with a man in a cloth. And what's the brother's name, man? Brother Live. What's his name? Does the Gray Show? It'll come to me. Larry Reed. Brother Larry Reed. He's all over this stuff. This is in his wheelhouse. And it is salacious. How you get caught like that, Pops? Pops ain't ready to do it like that in the 21st century, man. There's cameras everywhere, B. You're always on camera these days. Man, talk about a compromising position. I don't know, is he married? If he's not married and he's just like a single preacher, then he's just doing what he do. And y'all all in this man's business. See, you funny was on. Now I understand. Mike Jones writes, good morning, Choppers, TGIF. Mason Marler writes, the GOP will not take over the House. The Dems will have to win the Senate. Mike Jones writes, Daryl Morey is an idiot. Same guy who said Harden is the greatest scorer ever. Well, you're saying that Daryl Morey is an idiot, but didn't Daryl Morey stand up for freedom of speech and democracy and all this other stuff that we claim that we care so much about? And it's the reason why we got nuclear weapons, to preserve our way of life, all these lofty principles. I mean, what happened is Daryl Morey got in the way of business. That's it. Business and politics. He probably got a call from the State House like, man, keep your mouth closed as it relates to China. Now, if you want to talk about stuff in other parts of the world, check back in with us before you say a damn thing or tweet anything. Man, very interesting. LeBron James will be in beast mode this season. Book it. He may be. Again, I've never seen the people from Hong Kong stand with black Americans in the face of our own oppression. In my bunky voice, hold your own nuts, see? LeBron uses his money to gentrify his own hood with his own money, I'm just saying. Jace Chrome Lips writes, good morning. Turn up the volume. Okay, I got you. Renee writes, facts. Parts of Avondale is gorgeous. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is gorgeous. Parts of it is, I mean, Avondale is it's a very big neighborhood. You know, you can damn near live in any kind of like neighborhood you want. Like if you want to live on the street where there's a whole lot of folks, you can do that. If you want to get your little house where you're set back, if you got the bread for it, if it's set back on the street, you want to get your little house, boom, you can do that. Apartments, they got a little bit of everything in Avondale. It's a very interesting neighborhood. Lawrence writes, ask that lady who asked the questions, why doesn't she attend her community council meetings? It's a fair question. Read here. I think that is fair. Because if you got these kind of concerns, that would be the first stop. You see, part of the effort is let me back up here. Howard is hopeful Avondale community leaders are taking steps to control and direct growth in a way that improves conditions for people who live there. Okay, more. About future projects. I'm just reading over the article once again. Next upcoming projects. The proposed Burnett Avenue redevelopment plan will introduce a new mixed-use district to Burnett Avenue between Erkenbrecher Avenue and Forest Avenue. So if people know that part of town, just kind of visualize what we're talking about. If approved by the Avondale Community Council, Avondale Development Corporation, and the city of Cincinnati, the completed development will include another hotel, nearly 300 apartment units, and retail space. So that's what's next. The Uptown Consortium, Inc. official said that the company is working with the Avondale Development Corporation and Avondale Community Council to get input from residents on the Burnett Avenue project. What do you think about that? Burnett Avenue. Got it. I know where that is. How do you feel about that? Here's another quote. If they keep making affordable housing and not low-income housing for our seniors, we're going to run our seniors out. They're not going to be able to survive here in Avondale. Let me see. Apparently, they have a quality of life plan that has been put in place in Avondale as well. So, let's see. And apparently, they're trying to make sure that there's some business opportunities as well. So, that gives you a sense of what's going on. I ain't surprised. Everyone knows what it is. There's a renaissance sweeping through every single neighborhood. Every single neighborhood in Cincinnati. It is what it is. Now, the question is, we all saw what happened in Avondale. In Over the Rhine. What are we prepared to do to either prevent it or to change it or to anticipate it or, I don't know, fill in the blanks. You tell me, 513-873-7134. Clue Magic writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Hey, good to see you, Clue. Cutting through the BS podcast. Mason Muller writes, Gilligan of the Week, Mick Mulvaney, he admitted on national TV it was a quid pro quo. We do it all the time. Yeah, he said that, and he had to start talking about Obama. This ain't the Obama administration. Elections have consequences. I mean, that's his go-to phrase right there, boy. That's his go-to. Anything happens, hey, listen, this isn't the Obama administration anymore. You get it? We're going to do things differently. That's exactly what he said, Drop Rice Mahler, Clue, listen to the entire presser. I told y'all Trump is the first gangster president. Trust but verify. Mr. Mahler writes, gangsters go to jail. Yes, they do. Yep. Especially when you get in the way of commerce, like Al Capone, the boys did. I was getting away with, y'all got to go. It's funny, man, that a lot of those rackets, the old time gangsters, right, the Al Capone, that the government had to bust up, the government actually got into that business. Jerica's in the house. She writes, hola, beautiful black people, and the others. Robert writes, look, the pastor was just healing that woman of her sexual demons. Sometimes you have to sacrifice for the greater good. I'm not sure if that's going to work. I see where you're going with it, Broadway. Is the pastor married? If the pastor's not married, it's nobody's business. It's really between two adults. If he's married, it's still really their business, but it is salacious to discuss. Anytime you got a visual of a man in a cloth, I mean, humans are weak. You know he didn't wake up in the morning and decide to do that. It just happened. Just fell into it. Fame writes, just for y'all to know, I did not block you on Facebook. I block everyone because I deleted the account. The app ain't even on my phone anymore. Okay, you're not on Facebook no more? Okay. Why? You going through some things, aren't you, Fame? I could tell, man. I'm here for you, brother. Here for you, man. Tell you know, that's a classic going through some ish move. Now you off of Facebook, the largest social media platform. It's billions of people on there, and you ain't on it no more. Did you get blocked? I can see you getting blocked, Fame. I can see that. I hope it didn't happen that way. Hope it was voluntary, but now how you going to keep communication of what we got going on? You ain't on Facebook. Oh, man. Pam writes, damn, Fame, I hate that. I hate it too. Angela's in the house. Good to see her. She writes, salutations. Fame writes, any man that was caught on tape is okay with the tape getting out. Wilson knew what was going to happen. Yeah, I mean, who out here getting caught on tape? Who Magic writes, I think he knew it was too, Fame. He was in the frame too long not to know. Bunky writes, what's up, Nate and the Choppers? Which oppressor who ignores you, will you be voting for? Angela writes, complain about it. That's what? Okay. That's your game plan? Pam writes, Glenn writes, I'm convinced that Trump can do anything he wants and not be held responsible. He's getting more and more brazen. If he's reelected, there's no line that he won't cross and won't be held accountable, even treason. See? Tracy writes, hi. Jericho writes, that pastor, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, is the guy married? I don't know if the guy's married or not. That makes a big difference. Was the other woman involved married? If they're both single people, boom. That's what single people do. You know what I'm saying? Like me? Well, we don't have to get in all of that. Say no. It's not going down. Rob writes, Twitter is bigger than Facebook? Question mark. No, it's not bigger than Facebook. Facebook is the largest social media platform. A large percentage of the human population. Saying. Funky writes, agree, Pam, but day by day, hold on, back. Okay, she's talking. Agree, Pam, but day by day, Senate Republicans are speaking out more and more against Donald Trump. They are the people who need to keep their Senate seats and still stand judge and jury against Trump in the Senate impeachment hearings. Jericho writes, Wilson's daughter said that he was not the pastor David Wilson. It's just another man who has the same name as her father and looks like her father. He looks like the man that I saw on, like I said, anytime you get a man with any kind of authority, no matter whether it's large or small, there's going to be females of the species that are drawn. And that's what's going to happen. Okay? Right? It is what we know this. It's just the way God set up the system. And we also know that there's men out there that will take advantage of what they have. It is what it is. He's human. He's human. People make mistakes. Things happen. I understand. Listen, I want to go back to this, okay? I want to circle back before we go to break. And then when I come back to break, if you have any residual thoughts, I want to continue to talk about it just a little bit more because I think it's really, really interesting. And I think, it's a study that could probably be applied to any city of America that is still dealing with like huge racial disparity. So, so here it is. Study finds that the racial wealth gap the racial wealth gap, and this study was done by the Institute for Policy Studies and the Corporation for Economic Development. And I may have referenced this before, but I just feel like I want to reference it again. And they looked at the trends in household wealth between 1983 and 2013, which is a roughly 30-year period. Now think about that, 1983 to 2013. What was going on politically? Who was in charge? What was going on in that 30-year time period? But it also captures, think about it, captures the time period of Reaganomics, the expansion into international trade. You had a couple of financial crises, really three if you include the housing crashes that happened, the bubbles in the tech sector. What they found is that the average wealth of white households increased by 84% in those 3 decades. Those 3 decades, right, from 1983 to 2013, the average wealth for white households increased by 84%. Now, one of the conclusions that the authors of this study found is that it would take 228 years for the average black household to accumulate as much wealth as their white counterparts have right now. So that means that in 228 years, we'll still be behind. People say 400 years of slavery, but this is the effects of 400 years of slavery. The effect of 400 years of slavery is that we're 228 years behind the average white household when it comes to wealth. Now think about this. They also found in this study that it would take 84 years for the average Latino family to catch up to where their white counterparts are today. So damn, Latinos are over 100 years ahead of blacks, ahead of African Americans. That's something very interesting, huh? And it's kind of interesting because I remember that, there is a sociologist. His name is Dalton Connolly. Heard him before? And he's got a couple theories. And one of his theories is that the wealth of a child's family is the single greatest predictor of that child's future economic. You believe that? Is that consistent to what your knowledge is and what you've seen? Think about that. That's quite interesting. Why? Why? How's that apply here in Cincinnati? That ring true to you? Let it sink in. Think about it for a second. And then give me your thoughts on the other side. I'm Nathan Ivey, live, local, and vocal, broadcasting live from beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio. And we'll be right back.
Hey, everyone. Let's all stop what we're doing right now and take a moment. That felt good, huh? Just like that, we had a nice, special sort of moment together. Of course, they don't all need to be quiet moments to be special. They could be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. Sounds like somebody agrees. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Today, call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
We depend on our drinking water supply daily, but where does that water come from? Your water provider encourages you to get to know your local water source so together we can protect and preserve it. The investments we make as a community to protect our water source now ensure we have a sustainable drinking water supply for the future. Visit drinktap.org to learn more. This message is brought to you by the American Water Works Association and your local water provider.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm gonna keep ticking, but no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Now back to the show.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Come on back in, fam. Welcome back. Nathan Ivey. Want to remind you, coming up at the bottom of the hour, that's about 9:30 a.m. approximately, I am scheduled to be joined by Ben Lindy, who, as I understand it, is the CEO of the Cincinnati branch of Teach for America. So I'm very interested in learning more about Teach for America and their model and what does that mean for him as a school board member. Looking forward to that. If you're planning on voting for school board, then you might want to listen to this and please share it with your friends and fellow voters so we can have as much education as possible. I mean, there's hella, and shout out to all the folks, man, that's putting in work, creating forums and creating opportunities for our community to go out and get information. And, the same thing with interviews, with radio, digital interviews, same way. Just take all the information and create a profile for yourself and make the best decision for you and what you think is important, pretty much. Let's get into it. Good morning. 513-873-7134. What is on your mind this morning? I want to remind you, got a couple new podcasts that are up. A brand new Truth to Power podcast is up right now, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's on Facebook as well, Sin Digital Media. Brand new Hot Mic podcast. is up right now, and you can check it out wherever you listen to podcasts, and it's on Sin Digital Media. And we'll be doing a new Is It Just Me podcast at 12:30 p.m. today. Donnie B is going to be talking about two things. One, she's going to be talking about the presidential debate. She was actually at the debate, so she can take you inside the so-called velvet rope into the event hall, and she can tell you everything she saw and observed that the cameras didn't pick up, as well as her critique and breakdown of the candidates as well. And she'll be talking about the story of a tragic story of a man who is a boxer. He got knocked out in the ring. 4 days later, dies. He goes into a coma. 4 days later, he dies. She'll be talking about the morality of the sport of boxing later on today, 12:30 p.m. today. Hey, good morning to you. Now, between now and then, I want to chop it up. So, a great place, if you ever want to put content in front of my eyes for the show, or just bring something to my attention, the group's attention, you can go to the Friends page, Friends Who Like the Nathan Ivey Show, and you can post there. Oh, dear Lord. Rhonda, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that. 100%. And again, I just got to give another recognition, of course, of Elijah Cummings, who passed away this week. Civil rights icon. Yeah. And there was a recent story of, or should I say there was an update to the story of the woman that was shot, really the officer, Aaron, guy's name, the officer in the case down in the Fort Worth, Dallas case. Remember that? Well, I read within the last 24 hours, it's not looking too good for this good guy. I mean, he has refused to talk to police about the case. Yeah. So they ain't doing it. Aaron Dean is his name. He was arrested, charged, and then released on a $200,000 bond after he shot a woman who was standing in her room, Tatiana Jefferson, or Tay, 28 years old. Here's something in the backyard. She goes to the backyard, gets her weapon, goes to the backyard. This man shoots through the window, killing her. And he wasn't alone. There was actually another officer with him as well. It's all is coming out. But from what I'm reading, he won't even talk to police, investigators, which, I mean, from his standpoint, is not dumb, right? I mean, that way he doesn't have to incriminate himself by saying something that could lead to his incarceration or making the case against him even stronger. So I get it, but it seems like they're making a big deal out of that. Makes sense to me. Keep your mouth closed. Don't say a word. Don't give them anything. Because the moment that you do, they use it against you. Makes sense. See, Pam writes, Nate, you're fading in and out. Oh, I'm sorry about that. How about that? Fade in and out. All right. See here. Oh, boy, y'all, that's funny. Elijah Cummings, never heard of him. Huh? Now we hate on Elijah Cummings now? Fame writes, Houston at Indianapolis. Oh, I'm sure he's talking some other stuff. Snacks and man up, nigga, and get back on Facebook. You can't lose any more soldiers, or we can't lose any more soldiers. The Bussy movement is heavy. We need cover. Well, Fame's on that new masculinities tip, man. So I guess it's all a part of it. He's going through something right now. All we can do is just be there for him, and hopefully he'll work it all out. Are men out here telling women just record them as they taste the rainbow? Huh? What? No, Jeff, let me read that again, Jeff. She writes, are men out here letting women just record them as they taste the rainbow? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That seems very, very odd to me. You know, some people like to videotape themselves and then watch it afterward. He might have got caught up like that. Let's go to the phones. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivy. This is your West Side Connection, Drop Squad 52.
Good morning.
Out here on the left coast, also known as the People's Republic of California. How are you doing this morning, Mr. Ivy?
I'm excellent. Doing great.
Oh, okay. Maybe I missed it because I tuned into your show a little around about 5:30 out here California time. And I haven't heard you mention anything about this great economy that the American people are feeling right now.
Is that right?
Did you miss those stories, or you just chose not to talk about them?
Maybe I just chose to focus on other things.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, just FYI, I'm pretty sure there are many people in the chop shop that are doing, them and their families are probably doing pretty good now compared to previous years, because of some of the economic moves that the Trump administration has made so far.
Really? Like what?
So,
what moves?
It's not necessary that I say it, Nate, because when you talk about American economics and how people are feeling in their pockets, that's an individual thing, Nate. And that's why the voting booth is private.
Yeah, you're right. But you
there,
said the things that Trump had been doing. And to my knowledge, He hasn't really done anything. So that made me curious. That's why I asked. That's all.
Well, Nate, this could be a rhetorical question, but if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one around, does it make a noise? Yes.
I mean, scientifically, we have to say yes, but what does that have to do with you telling me what Trump has done to either sustain or to grow this economy that you keep touting?
Well, first of all, because of our mainstream media being a willing accomplice of the Democrat Party, certain news outlets, well, mainly all of the mainstream media news outlets, do not report the positive economic numbers that are happening in this country. And if they do report it, it is way, way down in their coverage of other things related to Trump. And it's just, it's because, Nate, I look back to a couple of weeks ago when you played a video or audio clip of a lot of these young Black African Americans that were cheering for Trump at a function that he held at the White House. Now, those functions, as an example, are not covered by the mainstream media. You have to go to social media or go to the actual White House website to see these things. So all I'm saying, Mr. Ivy, when you ask me what has Trump done to the economy, to me, you're being intellectually dishonest, because you know what is happening in this economy, because you, as a successful, powerful, influential member of New Black Media, and also start up a new media company during the Trump administration, says one thing, that obviously financially either you or whoever is supporting you financially is doing well in this Trump economy. Now, granted, yeah, you give some credit to the first Black president, Barack Obama, but you have to give more credit to the Trump administration for sustaining it and building on it and making it better. So all I got to say, Mr. Ivy, is that it's going to be pretty hard for any of these 4 or 5 Democrats, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, and Kamala Harris. It is going to be very difficult for one of those 5 people, unless someone gets in before the November cutoff to register as a candidate for the president in 2020. So we still have a few weeks to go before that November cutoff. But Nate, it's going to be pretty hard to even talk about the economy, to even talk about jobs as far as a Democrat, because the country's doing great. So before I go, Mr. Ivy, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Let me ask you a question. Did you watch the Democrat debate?
Yes, sir.
And what'd you think of any of the candidates? Anybody stand out or impress you? I'm just curious because I know you're a Trump guy. So I wanted to know what a Black Trump guy thinks about it.
Well, the one guy that stood out, because I've been watching this whole thing from day one, the one guy that's standing out is Pete Buttigieg. Because again, Nate, this is a Midwestern mayor from the city of South Bend, Indiana, who is a gay man, who is married to a gay man, who is slowly passing certain individuals who are in this race. And Nate, his money is coming from somewhere. So I don't know if they're waiting to see if it's going to be clear that Trump is going to be the winner and Pete Buttigieg will be your Democrat candidate in 2024. That's the way I see it. But like I said yesterday,
do you think he has the best chance to beat your boy Trump?
No, I didn't say that.
I'm just asking you. I'm just saying, which candidate do you think is the most dangerous for Trump?
Right now, it's not just Trump that they'll be running against, Nate. That's what I'm trying to explain here. Is they will also be running against the economy, and when you run against a president and a very, very good economy, it's going to be pretty difficult for an American citizen who goes into that voting booth or sits down at their dining room table and fill out their mail-in ballot to vote for a Democrat Party that up to this point is talking about giving away free stuff and doesn't want to tell the American people how it's going to be paid for. So
Bernie told the American people how it was going to be paid for.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
but
so
Bernie's not going to be around. Bernie's not going to be around in the end. He's not, Nate. I mean, seriously. The Democrat Party, they know because of how well this economy is doing, and there's nothing that says it's going to be worse in 10 months. So everybody knows that not only will the Democrats be running against Donald Trump, they will also be running against this great economy. And nobody's talking about the China trade deal that was done. And nobody's talking about these other things that are very important because all the media wants to talk about is impeach 45. So to answer your question, I say that Pete Buttigieg is the guy to watch out, not necessarily in 2020, but in 2024, because that's when the Democrats are going to really, really learn from 2016 and 2020. Because I'm telling you, Nate, right now, the American people aren't feeling any of these candidates. Now, again, it could be because the economy is doing so well, so they have no reason to look for a political alternative to make their lives better. And have you heard anyone ask this question that's always asked in political campaigns? Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? So that question is going to come up at some point, and a Democrat is going to have to explain how they can make things better than what they are now. Because, again, Nate, it comes down to the people, and the people will decide. So I hope that answered your question.
It didn't.
Before I go, I know, but you allowed me to answer. And that's what I like about your show, Mr. Ivy, because you are fair and biased, but I still like your show. And before I go, do you have a Gilligan of the Week candidate? Because I have one. And if you follow my Twitter feed, I think you already know who it is.
Hold on. I did see, I don't remember. I was on Twitter and I thought I followed your feed, but I can't remember who you put up.
Oh, Nate, I made a little video of LeBron James. It was a clip from when he
There you go.
When he was in Cleveland, Nate. It was a clip of him leaving the court during the NBA Finals, and a Golden State fan yelled out something to him. So I took that clip, I chopped it up, I added my graphics on it, I did a little voiceover, and I dropped it on somebody else's Twitter feed. Nate, I checked that video this morning. It has 2.4K views. Okay, so I dropped it on your Twitter feed this morning. So you can check it out. It's just another Drop Squad 52 production. But he is my candidate for Gilligan of the Week. LeBron, what's his middle name? Jeffrey James. He is my Gilligan of the Week because, Nate, this China thing ain't going away. Opening day is next week for the NBA, and this China problem has not been resolved, and LeBron James just threw fire on it and made it worse. So that's my candidate for Gilligan of the Week, and I'm asking you, do you have a candidate? I know you want to say somebody else, but that's my guy.
Well, I'm somewhere between Steve Meagerly and LeBron James.
If you pick LeBron James, the Nathan Ivey Show, hashtag Nathan Ivey Show, at Nathan from Cincy, Ascent Digital Media, and Gilligan of the Week, get a whole lot more coverage than Mr. Meagerly.
Is that right? I got to go with the integrity, though.
Nate, I just told you.
I'm on your feed right now. Where is it at here?
4,000.
Like I told you, man. I love what you do, man. Keep it up.
Okay, so I'll be listening for your candidates for Gilligan of the Week. But if I don't hear a clear-cut winner, I'm gonna go ahead and make you for the Nathan Ivey Show.
You're gonna determine for us. Video. I like that. So at least we get it, because sometimes we don't have one. At least we get a default one through you. So I'm cool with that. But here it is. I see it.
You see?
Yeah, I see it here. I see it. Back on the 15th, you posted this. I like it.
No, that's another one.
Oh, that's another one.
I have a couple. I did like 3 of LeBron when this whole China thing broke out.
What date did you put up the one that's getting the clicks you're talking about right now? The most popular one.
Well, one, I put it up yesterday. I posted it yesterday.
You posted it yesterday.
But I've retweeted it. I've retweeted it a number of times and dropped it in different people's timelines.
Okay, well, just drop it in my timeline. Link me.
This morning. I just did it this morning.
Oh, okay.
There's a retweet. It's a retweet. And you'll see the cover.
Okay, okay. I see LeBron James. Oh, okay, let me see this. Oh, is that you?
That's me. Nate, you know how I roll.
Oh, my God. Drop it got some new skills, man. I like it, though, bro. I like it.
Hey, Nate.
Yeah, I'll check it out later.
New free. Okay, all right. So I'll keep my eyes and my ears open for any other candidates for Gilligan of the Week. But right now, the front runner is LeBron James. Drop Squad 52. TGIF Friday. Y'all be safe in them streets. Choppers dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Peace out.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and rack them. Appreciate the call. This guy. The choppers, man. It is what it is, man. Oh, my God. He is gone nuts with these videos, though. It look cool, though. Like it. All right, back to your chat. Bunky writes, them biscuits are hella crispy. Speaking of drop. Snacks, and why you off Facebook, guy? Because I ain't going to say nothing. I don't know why you off Facebook. But it is what it is. We getting a call right now from Snackson. What's up? Get to the bottom of why he's off Facebook now. This is crazy, bro. Yo, Snackson.
Yeah, what's up?
Why you off Facebook?
Because I'm getting away from the local yokels and the local yokel problems.
Oh.
The Negro mentality of Cincinnati. I've about had enough of it. I'm like, I'd rather keep our talents international.
Well, do your thing, man.
Crowd.
Do your thing, man, wherever you need to do it, bro. But how you gonna listen to Donnie B's show? She coming on 12:30 today.
I can listen to it.
How you gonna watch it?
I don't gotta watch it.
It'll be on my feed, man, via Periscope. That's how you can watch it on Twitter.
Okay. Well, I'll listen to it. I'll watch it on Twitter if I, so inclined to.
I'm gonna link you.
Listen on Spreaker.
Well, because you can listen on Spreaker too. Yeah, I thought maybe you want to watch it. Okay. So you off Facebook for real, huh?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. I even took the app off my phone. I don't want nothing. I was like, this is.
So what was the event that made you? Something had to trigger it. What was the catalyst?
Nothing. It was just a buildup of everything. I'm just getting tired of the false information. Plus, there was a Facebook hashtag about that. Delete Facebook, not Facebook, Twitter. I started reading on it, and I'm like, you know what? I've been meaning to get off Facebook anyway. It's just local yokels. Some people are doing Yowman's work. Some people just sitting away, and I'm just, nah, I don't want no part of this anymore. Basically, I was on Twitter before I even got on Facebook. And I realized why, and I was glad I made that decision. Facebook is all your locals who you really didn't need to, reconnect with in the first place.
Okay, so it was a building frustration, but when was the moment when you decided, you know what, I'm actually going to do it right now? Where was that moment?
There was no coup de grace. It was just, you know what, F it. The moment was the other day. I was just like, looking at my phone, going through my Facebook scroll. Okay, this guy posting the same goofy stuff. This guy, this guy, this lady posting some, okay, you got another man. That's the third one this year. Okay, whoop-de-damn-do. Just tired of the local yokels. Anybody that's local that I need to get in touch with, I got their number, they got mine.
I mean, facts, man. I mean, I respect the road you got to travel. Right.
But as far as signifying monkey, LeBron James, this is just another example of Nike pimping black athletes. LeBron's just as uneducated and ill-informed about Hong Kong and China as Daryl Morey is, or he claims Daryl Morey is. But Nike said, hey, you got to clean this up. We can't blow them dollars over there. You got to go out there out front, clean this up. Much like they did with Colin Kaepernick, getting black athletes to speak on stuff that they don't know what the hell they talking about. With them flag shoes they came out for earlier this year, around the 4th of July, made Colin Kaepernick issue a statement. What happens? Nike's profits go sky rising. Stock, price, everything rises for Nike. This is them pimping black athletes.
Well, slight error in correction there. They actually discontinued. I know what you're talking about. It was like the Liberty on the back. It was for the Centennial, some other doofy shit. And they didn't even sell them. So there was no profits to get.
Yes, their stock still went up because they were acting divine and culturally sensitive to the Betsy Ross design of the American flag. They knew what they were doing. Nike employs the best marketing people in the world. If you work for Nike's marketing department, there's a chance you went to Stanford, Harvard, Yale for marketing. They ain't hiring people out of UC's marketing program. No, you got to cut your teeth marketing UDF for a couple of years before you come holler at us. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand you got a beef with Colin Kaepernick, and any chance you got a chance to drag him into some BS and try to make a point, you always do it. That's what I understand.
Because he remains the low hanging fruit. He the hoe of hoes.
Exactly. And you should be better than that. It is low hanging fruit.
He the hoe of hoes, getting pimped around by everybody, getting used up. So why can't I go plowing one time? Everybody else is.
Because in the words of a famous comic, you are a boy. That's why.
But I can still be straight. I can make those choices. You can't help me because I decided to plow Kaepernick one time. That's toxic masculinity.
It is. Okay. The imagery is unsettling. I get your point.
Now, hold on a second. That reminds me. That new masculinity stuff, if you remember, Pharrell was also the face of the new black about 5 years ago.
True.
But see, the reason I don't respond to that, I mean, the jokes are cute. I mean, you made a couple, Iris. I don't respond to that just because that's crossing boundaries and I don't want to dislike you guys. I never joke about a black man's sexuality. From our generation, that's taboo. You never joke with a black man about his sexuality.
Well,
you know who does that? You know who does that? People who don't know how to get along with other black people, such as the caller from the affluent suburb.
don't try to act all, because you be wilding out. So stop it.
I've never called anybody gay. I'll talk about your mama before I call you gay as a man, because there's certain boundaries we don't cross with each other, and that's one of them.
I agree, but who called you gay?
You, Iris, talking about the new masculinity or whatever. That's some faggot stuff.
I take it back then. I take it back. If you took it that way, I take it back.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like I just there's certain boundaries. Just don't cross those boundaries, because I love you and I want to continue to do the same.
I agree. You
know what I'm saying? So I don't. Yeah, I've never. There's no black male in this chop shop who could say I ever called him gay. As much shit as I talk to people, I've never called any man and they're gay.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but every man has their point. And while your point might be that, there might be some other brothers in here who had another point that you might have crossed. So all I'm saying is
95% of brothers have 2 points of no return: your mama and your sexuality.
Facts.
Okay then. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's why I don't really wreck with people.
Okay, man, I apologize. You're getting all sensitive. You know what? You be the main one on that.
It's all good.
Okay.
It's all good, B. I'm just giving my reasons. That's all you act like you don't like being told. I'm trying to teach you about your people.
I'm not. Listen, didn't I say facts?
Apparently you learned your people from Negroes.
See, there you go. Crossing lines. There you go, crossing lines. That's my line, damn it.
What's that?
What you just said to me.
What, Negroes?
Yeah.
Well,
that's my line. That's my line.
See, our generation, like I told you, we gave the generation behind us confidence and swagger.
We did.
Like any man is supposed to give to his son.
We did.
What we begot. You see what I'm saying? And that confidence, they took it the wrong way, though. We gave them the confidence to be who you are. We didn't mean come out of the closet and let everybody know that you into that type of behavior. But that's the confidence we gave them. That's the gift and the curse of our generation. They took the confidence the wrong way. We led them to we led them to the fountain. They started drinking it, but it went down the wrong hole. Pardon the pun. Now
I got a guest coming in, man. I got Ben Lindy coming in. I appreciate the flows, though. Stop being sensitive.
Let me say this about Teach for America.
Go ahead.
It's a dangerous group. It costs local people jobs. I know a school district, Covington Independent, that got rid of all its non-tenured teachers in favor of Teach for America positions, and it cost local people who are already here locally, it cost them employment. And Teach for America, these are alternative certificated people. They didn't go through the teaching program. They went through it after they already got a degree in something else. Because as the old saying goes, when you can't do, you teach. This is a dangerous group. This is the Sean King of teaching. That's all I got. Holla.
Take it easy, man. We got to rack his ass. Oh, my God. That black man. Interesting flows, though. And, no disrespect to you, bro. Come on now. Facts on a lot of that, I must acknowledge. And that last bit there was quite interesting, really. I mean, I'm aware of, some of the critiques. So, again, I'm scheduled to be joined by Ben Lindy. And let me double check here to make sure they got the appropriate number to give us a call, because I'm hella interested. He said to Sean King, I know what you're trying to say about that, and it ain't good. How dare you say that? How dare you say that? Bringing your animus and your bias. Isn't that what you told me? Your animus and your bias. When I was talking to Mr. Steve Beasley. Okay, so let me double check here on email, everybody, just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Caught up with his nonsense. So he made me listen. If the man said he's off Facebook, that's every man's right. Seems like he can articulate his reasons why, so I'm all good. I see. Damn, Do what you got to do. Yeah, they got the studio number. So, yeah, they've got the appropriate. Let me double check here. Yep, they got the appropriate number. So, again, I'm awaiting the phone call. I'm sure Mr. Ben Lindy is a very busy man. He's also a family man. And when you're a family man, anything can happen. Man, I got a call from my daughter's school yesterday that shook the hell out of me. I'm like, hold up. This is the wrong time for an automated number, an automated phone call. I get automated phone calls all the time. All the time now. You know, maybe the message got felt because now they're over communicating, and that's how a school building should operate. You should over communicate. You should have parents saying, y'all contact me about everything. They should be complaining about it. Why? For two reasons. Accountability and liability. You can't say we didn't tell you. Check your phone. Oh, no, we did see a message now. Check your phone, Miss Ivy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did. I missed it. That's on you. That's on you as a parent. They sent you a message, you missed it. You can't say ish to them. That's why they should over communicate. It serves their own interest. See here, waiting for Ben Lindy. Earth to Ben Lindy. Where are you, Ben? Let's see. I'll give it a couple minutes and I'll send a reminder. We'll see. Okay, let's go back to your chat as we wait. Sister V writes, I'm not sure what economy Drop's looking at, but all the studies show that mainstream America is not feeling this so-called great economy. Right now, the economy is being propped up with fake numbers. Sister V, don't tell him. Let him keep his little delusion. He'll come to the surface and figure out what's real one day. As Drop was speaking, I'm thinking to myself, what economy is he talking about? Which one? You know, for which communities? Pamela writes, right, Glenn. He's also giving Putin and Erdogan free stuff too. Americans remember that. Bunky writes, Bernie the bigot will be in the six something with the sixth dimension when the election comes. Sixth dimension? Maybe he'll know what reparations are when he sees that God is black. I guess got to give you about 4 AB. I think that's about 5 ABs on that one, just because of the irony. About 5 ABs. What? Bernie the bigot will be in the sixth dimension when the election comes. Maybe he'll know what reparations are when he sees that God is black. That is quite hilarious to me. Okay, we're getting a phone call here. Let's take it and see who's on the line. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Is this Ben Lindy?
It is. Hey, I'm sorry. I think I had some technical difficulties this morning. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you pretty good. How about myself? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay,
sorry
Ben.
about the delay.
Yeah. Let's get into it. How much time do you have this morning?
As much time as you'd like, sir.
Okay, great. Let's get into it. So, Ben, this is an online show. Not sure if you're aware of it. It's a daily digital show,
Yeah.
The Nathan Ivy Show. And I've been online for about 3 years now. And primarily the audience is African-American, primarily people who live in Cincinnati, but there's people all over Ohio and all over the nation that chime in. We even got a chat room. We call it the Chop Shop because we chop up the issues. And unfortunately, sometimes each other every single day. But a lot of really...
I'm pretty friendly, Nathan. But...
Yeah. Well, I meant us, like, you know, me and them. Sometimes we can get a little testy with the conversation. But just to give you a sense of what's going on, and NathanIvy.com is where this will be up as a podcast when the show ends. So, but Ben, listen, I met you briefly. We got a chance to talk very, very briefly. And I just wanted to start really basically, man, just kind of telling us about who you are and did you grow up in Cincinnati and, you know, what led you to this point?
Yeah, for sure. And thanks again so much for both for doing your show and having school board candidates on it, Nathan. I think I don't think there's a more important issue for the future of this city than the quality of our school system. And I appreciate you giving this race some airtime. So helpful if I share just a little bit about my background?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Great. Yeah, so I mean, I'm from Cincinnati. I spent the first 18 years of my life here. I'm a proud Cincinnati Public Schools graduate. I went to Walnut Hills High School. We just helped plan our 20th reunion here a couple weeks ago. And I'm a dad. I have two young kids, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they will both be CPS students. I've been an educator for the last 15 years. That started as a public school teacher. But I think my commitment to education and educational equity in particular really came from growing up here. When I was at Walnut, you could drive 3 miles in any direction and come to a CPS high school where the graduation rate was barely over 50% back in 1999. And I just thought it was unbelievably unjust that in the same city with the same school system, same tax base, there were such radically different educational opportunities. And that led me, when I was in college, it led me to join a program called Teach for America. And what Teach for America is like a domestic Peace Corps, if you're not super familiar with it. But it recruits really passionate young people who want to make a difference in education. And it helps train them and send them as teachers to low-income urban and rural schools all over the country. So I did that, and that's where I really discovered what I wanted to be my life's work, which was trying to make sure every kid in every zip code has access to a fantastic public education. That took me to teaching. It took me to law school. It took me to the Washington, D.C. public schools, where I was in charge of teacher hiring for the district. Ultimately, it brought me back home, where I helped bring a Teach for America chapter here to Cincinnati. And so I've been doing that for the last 8 years, and then running for school board.
Ben Lindy is my guest. He's running for school board. And the election is coming up in November, so you've only got a few weeks, folks. Okay, so what neighborhood did you grow up in Cincinnati?
I grew up in Hyde Park.
In Hyde Park, okay. And you went to Walnut Hills. Kind of interesting. So
I did, yeah.
So tell me about Teach for America, because here's the first time I heard about Teach for America was, it's just the way the media is when there was like a controversy about you running for school board and what Teach of America actually offers. So I figure who better to talk to about Teach for America than the CEO, right? And so they've got chapters all over. They got chapters all over the country, correct? Where was the first chapter? I'm just curious.
So the organization is a little over 25 years old, and the first year it launched, it was in several cities all over the country, and those ranged from like your New York and Los Angeles, real big cities, to also very rural parts of the country. When I was a teacher, I taught in Old Tobacco country in North Carolina. We were also in the Mississippi Delta, so it really has spanned different parts of the entire country.
Okay, and you said you led the opening of the chapter here. What year was that? Again, I know you said it earlier. I'm just trying to get a mental picture.
No, it's no problem. This was back in 2012.
2012, okay.
Is it helpful, Nathan? I'm happy to talk about some of the stuff that's been in the paper or talk about the organization a little bit. If that's helpful, I'm happy to.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Let's get into it. Yeah, because I want to get a better snapshot of it. And then as a black man, as an African American, I mean, it was talked about that there's a crisis in our communities and that there's a real question mark about what's the best educational option for all of our children, but, our children in particular. So I'm trying to figure out, the role that Teach of America plays in that, because I know it does. So how does it work exactly, Teach of America? And what do you provide to Cincinnati Public Schools currently?
Absolutely. So Teach for America, first of all, is a nonprofit organization. And as I mentioned, it's a little bit like a domestic Peace Corps. And the issue that Teach for America really cares about is the idea that every kid, no matter what their race or income level or zip code, should have access to a great public education. And we view that as a systemic problem. And by systemic, I mean it's got lots of different causes, and it's going to take a lot of different things to really move the needle. So part of that is about making sure every kid has access to a great teacher. But it's also about much, much more than that. My personal opinion is that to make sure every kid has a great public education, we don't just need great teachers, we need great principals, we need great school board members, we need great members of the state legislature and the federal government. We need people who are going to start new nonprofit organizations and community-based organizations that take some of the pressures of poverty off of schools. I think we need all those things. And so the way that Teach for America is set up is we recruit very talented and diverse young people to make this issue their life's work. And now that starts with a minimum 2 years of teaching. We train our teachers. We support our teachers through that teaching experience. And again, this is in very urban or rural parts of the country. But after those 2 years, the idea is if you've done this program, you find some part of that bigger issue that you want to take on. And so many of our alumni stay teaching. That's actually the single most popular thing to do after you teach for 2 years is to stay teaching. But many of our other teachers go on to become principals or run for office like I'm doing or start new organizations that didn't exist before. So it's a little bit about kind of what the organization is and what it tries to do. You mentioned, I think, particularly issues of race in education, Nathan. And one of the things that is important to me about Teach for America is we put a real emphasis on recruiting a diverse group of teachers.
Mm-hmm.
In Cincinnati, often our teachers are about 40% people of color, 50% who grew up in a low-income background. Last year, a third of our teachers were the first in their family to go to college. And I think one of the reasons that not just Cincinnati Public, but many school districts in Greater Cincinnati and Greater Dayton, one of the reasons why they've gotten some real value out of partnering with Teach for America is the diversity of our teachers. I'd say that plus the fact that oftentimes a Teach for America teacher can be able to teach a subject where it's really hard to find candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Teach for America teachers are often doing your secondary math, secondary science, foreign language, some of the subjects where it can be particularly hard to find folks. If
you are able to win to win to school board, will you retain your position as the CEO of Teach for America?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I love this organization. I believe deeply in it. And I'm going to stay on as executive director if I'm able to win. There's some things I'm going to want to do to make sure that we do this the right way. And because Teach for America and CPS partner together, and Teach for America has a contract with CPS.
Right. That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I would be recusing myself from any vote on Teach for America, recusing myself from any debates about Teach for America. So I would have to be in a new kind of role with the organization.
I mean, would you also have to recuse yourself from maybe, voting on contracts with other people that might compete with you for services as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like anything that would come close to being a concern, I am committed to being just as squeaky clean as possible. Because I think at the end of the day, like this should all be about children. And how can we get, any group that wants to show up and fight for kids and make a difference for kids in Cincinnati? I think they should be a big team. And I want to keep the focus on kids.
Well, I got to be honest with you. A red flag just kind of went up. Like, I'm like, okay, so if you win, you will be a vendor, but you'll also be a school board member. I mean, should parents be concerned about that on any way? Like, if how would that help you as the CEO of Teach for America if you're on the school board?
I don't think it would, to be honest. I mean, I think the requirements I think are pretty clear, and it's important that somebody who would serve in both positions, like I hopefully wouldn't. And first of all, the election's not over yet. Who knows if I win? I got to work really hard and earn as many votes as I can. But if I'm fortunate enough to win, by recusing myself from votes on Teach for America and debates about Teach for America or any possible competitors, that makes sure that all the ethical and legal pieces are complied with. And from the Teach for America end, it doesn't create any new ways to do anything special for the organization. As I mentioned, the organization here in Southwest Ohio, we have many, many partners. CPS is one of them. But we also work, for example, with Covington schools. We've worked with Newport schools. We work with Dayton Public Schools.
Right, but it's got to be advantageous for you, though. It's got to be advantageous for you, though, right? I mean, you're not going to tell us.
Can you say more about how, Nathan?
I'm sorry now? What'd you say?
Can you say more about how it would be?
Well, I mean, you would be on the school board. I mean, just from the long view, if you're a vendor, that being in that position would give you some advantage, right?
I don't think so. I mean, like, not if you're doing it the right way and recusing yourself from any votes or any discussions. I mean, it's There's so many things outside of Teach for America where I want to make a difference for kids in CPS. I'll give you a couple of examples. I think there are so many ways that we can improve the way we approach school leadership in CPS. I think that there is almost no job that's more important than a building principal in the district. They create the culture for the school. I found that teachers want to stay teaching in buildings that have great culture and that are welcoming places for kids. And so this is just one example, but whether it's, school leadership or how you do a better job of listening to parents, or how you do a better job of getting a curriculum that is more, I think, culturally responsive and empowering for kids. There's how we make sure we do right by taxpayer dollars. I mean, there's so many important issues to work on. And I would be, as I mentioned, recusing myself from anything that had to do with Teach for America.
Right. And I think that's something that people have to factor in, because we don't know what you might have to recuse yourself about, because no one's been in this position before. So I don't want to harp on that, but I mean, it's certainly something to think about. But let's go on. So, okay, I heard these controversies. So tell me this. If I'm a Teach for America teacher, am I getting the same level of training as what we think a traditional Cincinnati public school teacher receives? And if so, what's the difference?
So there are a lot of differences. So one of the things that is different about Teach for America is we're trying to find, as I mentioned, really talented, diverse young people who want to take on this issue of educational inequity. And we're purposefully trying to recruit them from many different kinds of backgrounds. So some people come to Teach for America having studied education for 4 years. Many people don't. I was a history major when I was in college. I joined Teach for America and taught middle school social studies. We've had other folks who, study economics in undergrad or marketing and wind up coming and being fantastic math teachers with Teach for America. So one difference is Teach for America will accept applications from folks from a broad range of academic backgrounds. Now, you got to get into the program. I mean, I think some people mischaracterize Teach for America as, anybody can just sign up and do it as a way to, get a license really quickly, and that's just not accurate. We had about 50,000 people apply to the program last year, and 15% got in. So it's a very, very challenging program to get into. But once you are in, there is then a rigorous training process that we run over the course of the summer before their first year of teaching. And that includes a student teaching experience. Our teachers train in the Atlanta public schools, student teaching over the summer under the guidance of a mentor teacher. They're getting feedback. They're working with real kids and families. They're doing coursework. They also have to pass all the same content exams that any new teacher in Ohio has to pass. They have to complete all the same ongoing certification requirements. They would join a union just like any other teacher would in a district like CPS. And then with us, on top of all of those things, they have additional professional development that they need to do with Teach for America for the next 2 years.
Yeah, because I think there was some controversy about that. People felt like the Teach for America teachers weren't as highly trained, and therefore maybe the kids weren't getting the best quality that they could get. Have you heard that?
Yeah, this comes up often, Nathan. I mean, I see that issue differently, and I think the folks who have supported us, including I just mentioned, Cincinnati Public has worked with us for the last 8 years. It's one of the reasons I feel like I know and have good relationships with so many board members, because I've worked with them for the last 8 years, and I think what they find is consistent with my experience. That great teachers come from lots of different places. There is no one right way to be a great teacher. We just need more great teachers.
I agree.
And I think, people will often mischaracterize us in other ways. Like, nobody ever has to hire a Teach for America teacher. What our organization asks any district is just that they have a chance to interview. And so, a Teach for America teacher only gets hired if, after interviewing anybody who wants to apply for that job, the district thinks the Teach for America teacher is the right person. And that means that sometimes their teachers get hired, sometimes they don't.
So do I have
the ability?
Let me just clarify, Ben. Do I have to go to college or have a college degree to be a Teach for America teacher?
You have to. Yep. You have to have a college degree.
Okay.
You have to apply to the program, get into the program, and then complete the training program.
And the training program is how long again?
So it is a 7-week training program, followed by 2 years of ongoing professional development.
Okay. So after 7 weeks, can I be placed in a classroom? And then the professional development goes on while I'm working. Is that how that works? Concurrent to the job?
That's right.
Okay.
And then it's also required that you pass the state's content exams. So like if you're going to, I think it's important, right? If you're going to be a math teacher, we got to check to make sure you know the math.
Uh-huh.
The other thing I'd say too is part of the reason I feel so committed to the work I've been doing, for the last 15 years with Teach for America is we look really carefully at the growth of student learning taught by a Teach for America teacher. And if I didn't deeply believe, like in my bones, that Teach for America teachers do right by kids, I'd work somewhere else, because I think at the end of the day, like too often I think people stir up political controversy around whether it's Teach for America or something else in public education, and it distracts from the real issue, which is how are the kids doing? I think the data on the performance of Teach for America teachers is really strong. That's not to say there aren't other great sources of teachers out there. Like I said, I think we just need more great teachers. But I think, for a district like whether it's CPS or where I taught in North Carolina, to say that, one part of our new teacher strategy will be this group of very talented and diverse folks who see education as a social justice issue, work really hard, get great results with kids, can teach in some of the hardest to staff subject areas, and then only get hired if, after a series of interviews, the district decides they're the right person for the job. I think that can be one part of a broader team.
Speaking with Ben Lindy, he is running for Cincinnati School Board, and that vote is coming up in November. So let's talk about let's move away from Teach for America for a little while, and I want to talk about the schools in specific. You said you went to one.
Can I say just one last thing on
Sure.
Teach for America before we leave?
Sure.
One of the things I wanted to share is I'm technically on leave from Teach for America and not working for the organization while I'm on leave.
Right.
And there's
While you're
a
campaigning,
great
right.
staff and a great team there. Exactly. And so if you do ever want to talk more with the people who are currently running the shop there, I think they're great people, and I'm very, very happy to connect you with them.
Oh, yeah, talking with you is fine. That's good. But I appreciate that, perhaps in the future. So you said you graduated from Walnut Hills, correct?
I did, yeah.
How close are you to Walnut Hills right now? And how in tune are you to what's going on in Walnut Hills?
I am pretty in tune with my class that was there 20 years ago, because we just had our reunion. But truthfully, we, for example, we've never had a Teach for America teacher at Walnut Hills, because we will only work in schools that have the vast majority of kids low income, and so Walnut Hills doesn't really fit the mission of Teach for America. So I'm not as close, but I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you ask people what high school they go to. I hear people say Walnut Hills, and then you ask them, have you been there lately? And they haven't been around. And that's interesting. You never thought to pop your head in there and see what's going on at your alma mater?
Well, we were just back for the reunion, and we had a nice tour, but it was on a Saturday, and the kids were gone. And truthfully, Nathan, during the regular workday, I'm working really hard to win this election. So I'd love to hear about it, though.
Well, you need to hear about it. Walnut Hills on the outside, and in terms of the numbers, they seem to be, and in a lot of ways, they are the paragon of all the schools here in CPS. And, they have a lot of schools. My daughter attends Walnut Hills right now. She's in the 9th grade. But beneath the surface, there's some serious concerns about the environment, mental health, the workload on the children. And it just amazes me when I hear these people that say they went to Walnut Hills and they have no idea what's going on, especially if they're running for school board. Have you traveled to any other schools, or you just kind of focus on the Teach for America schools? That's what it kind of sounds like.
Well, I do know the schools where we've had Teach for America teachers better. But I have been doing my best over the course of the campaign to try to get to know as many, parents and kids as we can, and go to community councils and try to be as close to, I think, the most important constituents in this race as possible, who I think are the parents and the kids, frankly. But keep going. Say more about whether it's your daughter's experience, and I'd love to hear more.
Well, nothing specific about her, but I'm just saying you might want to click into especially if you get on the school board, click into what's really going on at not only Walnut Hills, but all of these schools. Because I think sometimes we rely on talking with the administrators who always have a hand in, putting the best foot forward, so to speak. So, but when you look...
I think that's crucial. Can I just
crucial.
say a piece about that?
Yeah, sure.
So one thing I've done a couple times in the last couple of years is sit down with groups of parents and kids and ask them about their experiences. And I did this at Woodward not too long ago. I did this at Dater High School not too long ago. And we've done this with other groups of kids and parents, and sometimes teachers too. And like my experience, I'd be curious if this is similar or different from yours, Nathan. But my experience is when you ask kids like what do they want from their schools for the future, their interests are wonderfully diverse. Like they're all over the place. But what's almost always true is that what they want for themselves for the future requires some kind of post-secondary, either college or training. And when I look at the you ask them then like how well is your current school equipping you or preparing you or helping you with the kind of future that you want, I just think we have a ton of work to do. It's interesting, and again, I'd be curious if this is different from your experience, but I think two things are true about CPS, and it's hard because I think oftentimes people only want to talk about one and not the other, but I think they're both true. And the first is that like there's been important progress in CPS in the last 20 years. When I was a high school senior, I think I mentioned like 51% of the kids were graduating from any of the high schools. This year, it's 78% are graduating. Now, we want that to be 100, but like 51 to 78 is a big improvement. So I think that this first thing that's true is there's been some progress in CPS. The second thing, though, is that we have an enormous amount of work we have to do. If you look at the just on this most recent report card from the state, there are about 1% of the kids at Withrow High School and about 2% of the kids at West High who are graduating with a college-ready ACT score. And I think that's not acceptable. And one thing that I learned as a teacher is that it's not about the kids. You know, the kids can do it. Every kid can do it. I think what we need to figure out is how can we as adults kind of get over some of the politics stuff and find a way to team up together to make faster progress for kids.
Oh, I agree with that.
Similar to your experience or different?
Oh, well, for sure. I definitely agree with that. But the thing is, what's the next step? So as you look at Cincinnati Public Schools, having said all of that, the school district got a D.
What do you do?
What do you do? What's your solution? If you're on the school board, what do you push?
I think the single most important thing we can do, honestly, is focus on school leadership. Not everybody agrees with me on this. I'd welcome, Nathan, if you got a different opinion too. But I think the power, I was saying this earlier, like the power of a great building principal is huge. And I think there are things CPS isn't doing yet that we could do on school leadership that doesn't necessarily cost a ton of money. And I'll give you just a couple of examples. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
So one thing I think we can do is we can look at who are our best principals in CPS and where do they come from? Like what schools did they attend or what experiences did they have before being a principal? What is it about their leadership profile that distinguishes them as our best principals? And then as we have openings for principals in CPS, and there are openings every year, be proactive in the recruitment we do to try to find more people who match the prior experiences of the people who've done really, really well. This is similar to some of the things that I was doing in D.C. when I was in charge of teacher hiring there. And I think that there's such an opportunity to do things like this in CPS, get great principals in our buildings, and then through a great principal, I think that shapes school culture and retains great teachers. And I think honestly, I think it's one of the most important things we can do. What do you think?
Well, I'm not sure if I would say that was the most. I think having a good principal, a strong principal with a vision, backbone, patience, wisdom, educational background is all important. But, I mean, what about the role of the LSDMCs, right? I mean, they play a major role as well in defining the school culture and defining, what the near and future is going to be of the school. So what would you do? What would you do about the LSDMCs? Yeah, they hired a principal, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that would be where I would focus on. So what needs to change? What would you do differently? What would you suggest differently with the various LSDMCs in CPS?
Well, I mean, I think I don't know. My experience, and tell me if this is different from yours, is that like the people who choose to join us in LSDMC are there because they really deeply care about their school and their community. They're doing this in their free time on top of the other things that they have to do. And the people I've met who are on LSDMCs are great people. I think it's more about how can the district support LSDMCs so that they have the resources and the things they need to be successful. And I keep coming back to principals just because I think that's one really clear example of this. Like, I'd like to see our district support LSDMCs by making sure that all of the candidates for principal that we're putting in front of LSDMCs have that strong leadership profile that I was describing. So I think if you had a different experience, like the people I know who are on LSDMCs, whether that's at like, Chase or Westwood or John P. Parker, like they're great people.
Well, they're great people, but some of these LSDMCs, it's almost as if the decision is made and they don't get a diverse enough opinions, right? I've heard those critiques before, right? And, that, sometimes these people are tailor-made and are handpicked, right, to support whatever the local administration wants. So you don't get a really challenge. That doesn't really challenge. So that's why some people have suggested that perhaps we need to propose a restructuring of it or just another look at it to make sure we're getting some fresh faces and fresh ideas, fresh opinions, while still providing what an LSDMC provides to a school. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think healthy debate is really important, and like you get an echo chamber where everybody agrees with themselves and then you miss really important pieces of information. So I just wanted to share that I agree with you that what you don't want is a rubber stamp. And I think some healthy conflict based on people with different ideas. I think that sounds really important.
Somebody wants to know, how much do you make a year at TFA?
I don't want to talk about my salary. I'm happy to talk about some other things, but I wouldn't ask anybody else's salary either.
Another one wants to know, how long are the teachers required to stay in the program? I guess they're talking about TFA.
So in Teach for America, there's a minimum 2-year teaching requirement. There's the option to teach as long as you'd like. Some people don't like Teach for America because we only require 2 years. And I think they're welcome to hold that opinion. I think I have a different opinion, which is that what Teach for America is trying to do is train leaders who will take on some part of the systemic challenge of educational inequity. And to do that, I think we certainly need great teachers. That's why we require at least 2 years and why you're welcome to stay for a career, and many people do. But also, it's also going to take great principals. It's going to take great LSDMC members. It's going to take great nonprofit leaders, elected leaders. It's going to take a much broader leadership force to make the systemic kinds of changes in our education system.
Someone wants to know, how do you feel about the preschool to prison pipeline, and how do you plan to address it if you join the school board?
Yeah, this is such an important issue, man. So this is important to me. I think it's going to take many things to make a difference, but I'd like to share at least 3 ideas with you here. The first one is about resource allocation. I was talking to a teacher at Taft High School not long ago, and the teacher was telling me that they have 7 school resource officers, 7 police officers, and 1 counselor. And I think that is totally backwards. I think that part of the reasons we have the school to prison pipeline problem is because we over-police our schools. And so I think that by reallocating resources, and I recognize that some of this is going to take renegotiating some things with the city, but I think that's worth prioritizing. That we make sure that we've got, I think, the right resource allocation around support, I think, versus being, overly punitive. So that's one. Second, again, come back to the principals. I mean, so much of what drives student behavior and teacher behavior is the culture of the school building. And if you have a school leader who believes in restorative justice, who has high expectations for all kids and all adults in the building, knows how to lead adults and rally them around a shared vision, I think you create a building culture that plays less well into a school to prison pipeline set of issues. So in addition to like the resource allocation around SROs versus counselors, I'd also mention, again, I think principals. Third, I think how you hire and support teachers matters a lot. We had a great debate I think it was last week at Gabriel's place, where the issue of the implicit association test or implicit bias was coming up. And I'd like to see us require every teacher to take the implicit association test multiple times a year and talk about the results with their team to start to understand how like every single adult in the building plays a role in making sure that kids are seen, welcomed, valued, and not turned into a police state. What do you think?
I mean, that all sounds great to me, man. What you said.
Okay.
So having said that, so what type of implicit bias training do TFA teachers get?
Oh, we do a lot of training on diversity, equity, and inclusiveness. This is like a core part of like what we interview people on. We interview them for Teach for America, the way we do the summer training, and it ranges from like kind of quantitative things like the implicit association test to real reflections on the experience teachers have had with privilege or absences of privilege in different parts of their identity, whether that's race, whether that is class, whether that is religion, or immigration status, and trying to anticipate ways in which that will make a difference in the classroom. I'll just tell you, it made a difference in mine, and I think that the
so does it mean is it a day long training, or because it's a 7-week training?
Oh no.
So how often do you hit the implicit bias piece in that 7 weeks?
We have a diversity and equity and inclusiveness. What I can speak to, Nathan, is how we do this in Cincinnati, and it might be different in some other regions, but the one I know closest is here. And anytime we have folks together for a training, diversity, equity, inclusiveness is a part of that training every single time.
Right.
This is not. You can't do this in we've done our 1 hour on implicit bias, now we're good. I think this is at least in my experience, it's got to be an ongoing and integrated commitment. Can I give you one example? Right.
So I just want to make sure I get this. I want to make sure I get the heart of my question. So it's a 7-week training, but then it's 2 years of professional development. And what you're saying is that implicit bias training is a part of that 2-year development. So throughout that 2 years, they're receiving that implicit bias training.
Yeah, I mean, I want to make sure that I'm saying. I think I agree with you. I want to just play it back and make sure we're saying the same thing. I think implicit bias is one part of our diversity, equity, and inclusiveness training. It's also broader than just the implicit association test. And so certainly the implicit bias, but then also the broader diversity, equity, inclusive commitment, and that's part of everything. And I go even further to say two things. It's also part of the admissions process. It's like you don't get in to Teach for America if you don't have a certain baseline around how you think about race and equity and inclusiveness. And then second, this goes also into how we think about the curriculum that kids have. And I think this is really important because, what I would want to see if I'm a board member is that in content that kids are learning, kids get both a mirror and a window. That they, as the mirror sense, that they can see in the books that they're reading and the history that they're learning, their own culture and identity reflected in it. I think that's really important. And in addition to that, I want it to be a window so that they learn and come to feel deep pride, not just in their own culture, but also access points into worlds that are different than theirs. Because I think the kind of education that kids need for this next century is that kind. Where everybody feels welcomed and valued, and we start getting better at how to work with people who disagree with us. Because I think some of the political tribalism and things that are happening in our country and in our city, I just think that's a huge problem. And I think the school district can take a real role in leading on that front.
So I want to make sure I got so how many school board seats are currently open, Ben? There's what?
Yeah, this is such a complicated election.
Yeah.
Usually in a year like this, there would be 3. That's what usually happens. And you'd see a bunch of names. You could pick for up to 3 of those names. And so that's what usually happens. This is this weird year where in addition to those 3 seats that are up, there's one separate seat that is to finish out a term for a school board member who stepped down. And so what voters are going to see when they walk in is there's a 4-year term. That's what usually happens. You can pick up to 3 people for that one. And then in what they call the unexpired term, you'll see 3 names, but you're only allowed to pick one of those 3 names.
Is your name going to be one?
No, I'm running in the field race. I'm running in the one where you can vote for more than one person. That's really important to me because I know these folks who are on the school board. I like all of them. I think they all have different important things to offer. I welcome the chance to work alongside any of them. I think the experience I have, having been a public school teacher in a low-income public school, I think that the connection I have to CPS, both as a graduate of CPS, but also as a father, I've got 2 young kids who will be in CPS.
Yeah. How old are they?
I think I can bring something. 4 and 2.
4 and 2. All right, I got a 4-year-old myself.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful age.
Okay, good. If you have any tips on bedtime, Nathan, I'll take them.
No.
In our house.
Suffer through it, man. Like every other parent, man. Get through it day by day.
Okay.
So the way this works, if you're elected, will you be replacing an incumbent? Is that how that works?
Yeah. So if I'm elected, I would be replacing an incumbent. That's right.
Okay. And currently the incumbents are all African American, right?
That's not correct.
That's
no.
not correct.
Nope. So Eve Bolton.
Eve Bolton,
is,
right,
white,
exactly.
And I'm just going through everybody.
I think that's Eve.
Yeah,
yep.
the others are African American.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I mean, I want to go back to the chop shop here. I'm reading directly from people's questions.
I can't wait.
Someone writes, let's see here. Wants to know, do you know most schools have an F in the race gap category in the report card, meaning that white kids are doing better academically than black kids? What do you feel is the case? Why do you feel that's the case? And how will you plan to address that problem if you join the school board?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of the most important issues we got to figure out and make faster progress on in CPS. And this is why I think it's important to keep those two ideas in our heads that, like, yes, there has been progress, but we got to be really clear there's much more work to do. So my experience as a teacher working on this is I wish I could tell you that there is one thing you do that solves this problem. I don't think there's one solution. I think there are like hundreds of small solutions. But I will say I think it has to start with saying really clearly from our board that we believe in all kids and we have high expectations for all kids. And I think that then manifests itself in policies like this stronger approach to principal quality I'm talking about. Like a great principal is one who's going to have their teachers reviewing data regularly to look at the progress of kids, certainly by race, but I would also say by gender and by class, by immigration status, to make sure that all kids are getting the progress that they need, doing the extra work it takes to get kids caught up, building a welcoming culture for kids. Again, I wish I could say there's one thing, but I think at its core, this is about having high expectations, being strong on accountability and data to check to make sure that those expectations are being met, and doing the extra work that it takes.
Okay, so, the big, I see you got a big focus on the principals, but I mean, I'm thinking if we're going to focus on the quality of the principals, then we got to focus on the quality of the teachers, right? And that goes back into a question about Teach for America, and is that a high enough quality, teacher for our kids? I think it really comes down to the quality of every adult that's in the building, and that goes from those who work for maintenance, because they're all interacting with our kids. So what schools is Teach of America currently operating in right now?
Many. So just within CPS, the schools include from Withrow and Rockdale and Dater and Schroeder and one thing you have to understand, Nathan, is I've been out of the work there for about 3.5 months, which was before our hiring season was finished. So I actually was on leave when all of our folks finished their hiring for the year. But we've had folks at Rothenberg, we've had folks at Roberts Paideia, folks at Carson. We've had folks really almost every school where more than 70% of the kids qualify for a free or reduced lunch sometime over the last 8 years has had a Teach America teacher. And then outside of CPS, we have a long and strong history with Holmes High School and Holmes Middle School in Covington. We've had some high school science teachers in Newport. We work with the Dayton Public Schools, hour north of here, and several others.
Interesting. I'm scanning for more comments from the audience here. Someone says, what school are you planning to send your kids to?
We're trying to figure this out. We're trying to look at some of the different magnet lottery options that kids have. We're also our neighborhood school is Hyde Park School. And so we're trying to make that decision in the next couple of weeks. Got any advice?
No. I mean, you seem to be in a good spot, man, because of the socioeconomics of it, right? It's all going to kind of work out.
Yeah.
So how do we fix these? I mean, because look, think of it. So you're in Hyde Park, which is an affluent neighborhood, and it looks like your kid's magnet school is going to be Hyde Park. How did Hyde Park do in the latest round of reporting?
I think it got an A or a B, Nathan. I can't remember which one, but it did very well.
Right, it did very well. So your kids are going to go to Hyde Park, maybe. Probably. I mean, having a school that's a backup A or B is pretty good. So how do we shift that? How do we shift that?
Yeah,
because you got a privilege that other parents just won't have. So as a school board member, I mean, I'm sure you recognize that. How do you leverage that and bring more equity to all the kids and all the families?
Listen, I think this is the core issue that has motivated me to care about public education for the last 15 years. That like it shouldn't matter the zip code you live in or the financial resources that you have. That all kids should have access to great public education. And I think one of the things I can do from my position is just two things. I mean, I think first of all, I think we need to call attention to the fact that it is, I think, quite hypocritical to say that, well, if you can afford it, it's okay for you to pick your school. Like, you buy a house in Hyde Park to send kids to Hyde Park Elementary, or buy a house in Mount Lookout to send your kids to Kilgore, or whatever it is. I think it's quite hypocritical to say that that's fine, but we don't want other parents and kids to have a say over what school their kids go to. And I hear this argument from white people in particular, and from affluent white people in particular in the Democratic Party all the time. And I'm quite clear I disagree with that. This makes me different, Nathan, from some Democrats, because a lot of Democrats say, like, well, any kind of school choice, any kind of charter school, any kind of voucher, like it's all bad. And I just think that's missing some integrity to me, because I think if we're going to let parents pick their school when they can afford to, I think we need to create some kind of meaningful choices for every parent.
Absolutely.
And so what's that mean in CBS? I mean, I think it means that we should expand seats in some of the higher performing magnet schools so that more kids can go there. I think we should simultaneously work on improving the quality of every neighborhood school. And I think we should look for other ways to give parents choices within the district, preferably. I think it's a shame we've had such a terrible. So many of the charter schools in Cincinnati have been so terrible. I had this interesting experience, Nathan. I taught in both a district school and I taught in a charter school, but this was in North Carolina. And when I came home to Cincinnati, like, man, the charter school I worked in was the most inspiring place I've ever seen. And I came home and saw all the charter schools we had here, and they were so bad. It was a mess. I think I'm sharing all of this just to say I think that integrity matters, and I think every parent should be able to make some choices about where their kids go.
I agree. Integrity does matter. I'm curious. So that Hyde Park school, do they have Teach for America teachers there?
No, for the same reason they're not in Walnut. It would be a requirement for us to have a student population that's at least 70% low income.
So your kids won't go to a school that has Teach for America teachers.
No,
would you
but
have
if you're
a problem?
asking me,
Would you have a problem if they did?
A Teach for America teacher, I would have no problem whatsoever.
You would have no problem whatsoever.
None, zero.
But they won't have to because of the socioeconomics of it and the way that we fund our schools and the inequities. Somebody says you should send your kids to Taft High School. Somebody says you should send your kids to Taft High School.
Can you say more about what they're thinking?
Somebody said tell Ben to send his kids to Taft High School.
Yeah, no, I hear it. I mean, I think I want to make sure that I think every I don't want to make too many assumptions, Nathan, about where that statement is coming from. But the point that I hear loud and clear is that, families in CPS have radically different experiences and radically different opportunities in front of them.
Right.
And I think that's entirely unjust and unfair, and we got to do something about it.
Oh, absolutely. We do. I mean, do you think...
And to that point, too...
Do you think you're close enough to it to really know how to do something about it, though?
Do I think that I'm close enough to it to know something about it?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I do. And we're going to find out if voters agree with me or not. But I mean, I'll tell you why. And it comes from, I think, three places. The first one is I was a teacher in a low-income public school where I taught. My class was mostly African-American, also had some Latino kids and some white kids in it. And the thing I took away from that was that every single kid can do it. It's not about, I hear these things that make me want to scream sometimes, Nathan, about, these kids just don't care about their education, or their parents don't care, aren't involved. I have never met a parent in my life who doesn't care about their kids and doesn't want what's best for their kids, ever. But I've met a bunch of parents who don't know how to help. or feel like they've had a bad experience with the system. And so one, we got into this because you were asking me, do I feel like I can do something about this? I think my experience as a teacher taught me a whole series of things that I deeply believe and that nobody can take away from me, and that I want to advocate for kids here. I think that's one. Second, I've had this great experience over the last 15 years working on education in different parts of the country. I worked on a lawsuit that was trying to change state funding in Connecticut. I was in charge of teacher hiring in Washington, D.C. I helped train teachers, across Covington, Cincinnati, and Dayton for the last 8 years. And I think I've learned some lessons there about things that would make a difference. Two is I think that white people need to talk to other white people, and I think that to your point about the incredible injustices that we have in the way our current system is set up, I think one of the best roles I can play is a white person who cares about equity for kids of color, for low-income kids in Cincinnati, is to help convince other white people that we need to make some changes in our city in terms of how we think about this.
Well, see,
and so for all three of those reasons,
right.
that's why I'm running for school board.
And see, the core of this, Ben, and again, I hope, I'm just trying to get to the heart of it and get a sense of who you are, because this is a big decision.
Please.
I remember many years ago, I can't remember how I was speaking with a woman who was running for school board, and I asked her a very similar question. Where are you going to send your kids? Because we talk all this and pontificate, we know what the problems are, but at the end of the day, part of the reason why we have the inequities is because those they have take advantage of their privilege. A lot of folks that got that choice ain't going to put their kids in some of these lesser performing schools and then work from within with nonprofit organizations and just try to piece it together like the non-privileged have to do. And that's a part of this as well. As long as people enjoy the privilege, then the privileges are always going to be there. I'm not picking on you, but that's a real thing, though. Don't you agree?
You should pick on me. I'm running.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm just saying.
It's great.
I'm just saying, but what do you say to that? I mean, it's almost like practice what you preach. That's what it is. Everybody that's got money in Cincinnati can live in a nice neighborhood and their kids are good and they take advantage of it. And we don't like the separate with unequal, but we steady enjoying it. And you're on the school, you want to run for school board, which makes the privilege and the whole situation even the more real.
Yeah. I mean, I think, this is a fair question, and this is an important question. The experience I've had teaching kids, working in different school districts around the country, and the point I made about white people talking to other white people, I do think those are ways in which I can contribute and make a difference here. I also I may disagree with the person who wrote the comment a little bit about whether this needs to be a zero-sum progress. I think that there are things that we could do in Cincinnati Public that I would absolutely send my kids to also. That are things where everybody wins. And I can just give you an example. One of the reasons my wife and I haven't totally signed on the we're going to go to Hyde Park piece is we'd love a school, frankly, that's more diverse. And I think there can be an appetite and a market for parents across Cincinnati who want to invest together in a kind of school and CPS that we don't have enough of yet. And so I want to reject this idea that, and I may be again misinterpreting the statement from the person, and if I am, I apologize. But I do want to reject this notion that it has to be zero sum. I think we can find ways to make progress for all kids together. I want to be clear about where my priorities are. That I think we need to make faster progress for low income kids in Cincinnati, because those are the ones who I think have their choice set much more constrained by the time they graduate, not because of anything they've done, but just because of where they happen to grow up. So you may disagree, but I wanted to be clear about where I am. Oh
yeah, for sure, man. You definitely want to put it out there. So listen, there's a lot of mixed opinion about what's going on in here. I had a caller who called in right before you did, and he didn't say a lot of flattering things about you. He seemed to talk about teachers being laid off in Kentucky. I don't know the details, but I could see he's in here kicking up dust. Is there anything you want to? I want to make sure. Let me see here if there's any. Somebody writes, Ben Thomas writes, Teach America has been great for my brother. He still teaches. They paid him to get his master's. And 5 years later, he's the highest paid black male teacher in the state of Indiana. And he stayed in the low income district. So that's a success story right there.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, there it is. Got a fan in here. Jared writes, why don't we just model the success of Evanston Academy? The school is executing tremendously. Principal Stacy S. Hill Simmons should be on the school board. Are you aware of the success of Evanston Academy?
That's a great idea. Yeah, I am. I got an A on the report card. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's great.
So why don't we do that?
Example of what I was.
Why don't we just, that's what people say. It's like, why don't you just blueprint what it is? Or when you're dealing with human beings, the complexities, the intricate, the small things, the big things they bring to the table are hard to predict and therefore hard to reproduce.
No, I think it's a mix of those things, Nathan. I mean, I think unfortunately in education, I don't think it's like as simple as like an industrial process that you can blueprint and copy. But I do think we can learn from bright spots. And when I was talking before about like, let's find our strongest principals. Let's figure out where they came from, what their leadership profile is, what experiences they had before they got into their current seat, and how can we go find more of them? Let's do that with Evanston. I think that's a great idea. And in terms of that person running for school board, I don't know her personally, but it sounds like she'd be a great school board member.
Someone writes, I prefer teachers that care about teaching and children. CPS is truly in shambles, she writes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the thing is, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No. I'm actually was talking under you. I was reading what was in here today.
Yeah.
The comments coming. I'm trying to make sure I get everybody's last comments before we let you go. Listen, I appreciate your time this morning. We're a little longer than I anticipated, but I wanted to make sure we hit some of the spots there. What about bullying?
Yeah.
Are you aware of the new bully policy? Do you think it has enough teeth in it?
Yeah, I think new bully policies are good and important. I think this one is good and important, but I think it ultimately comes down to the people who are going to execute it, like any policy. And this is why I keep coming back to finding great principals and great teachers and what do they believe about kids and what are their high expectations. Because I think stronger anti-bullying policies are important, but I think that they're not sufficient unless you have the adults who are willing to really enforce them. Hey, one thing I wanted to mention, Nathan, that came up a little bit earlier, is just like the ways in which Teach for America is connecting with the community here. I just like somebody who's been a real great supporter of ours is Iris Rowley, and she helped put together like a panel for herself and for Al Gerhardtstein about the collaborative agreement with our new teachers when they came to Cincinnati. So like we've made a real commitment wherever we can to help people learn, what's going on in Cincinnati, where have there been some really important wins here, who are important community leaders here, to help them make some strong ties, and be as integrated a member of the community as we can.
Yeah, I think she posted something in here to that effect. I believe that's true.
Oh, did she? Okay,
yeah, somebody writes, ask Ben about his
sorry.
thoughts on bullying and his thoughts on the soccer team, West High, being told to go back to their country.
Oh, yeah. This is a mess. I love this stuff, Nathan, and I can talk to you all day. Are you still okay for time?
Well, we're going to, maybe another couple minutes here, we're going to wrap it up.
Okay, well, last thing on this. I'm so glad the author mentioned, that the writer mentioned this. I sent a note about this yesterday to my supporters, but there was an article online in the Enquirer Monday about how the West High soccer team, with many immigrant kids on it, has had to endure all these racial slurs at different soccer games, particularly when they're playing in some of the suburbs. And I think it is an unfortunate reality that like the national narrative around immigration that has become so awful and racist is alive and well here in Cincinnati. And I would just encourage folks who can make some of the soccer games to go support the team or to contribute to organizations that are doing good things to support immigrant kids. It's not just about immigrant kids. I mean, we had these issues with like some of the basketball games a couple of years ago with African-American kids too. And so I just, we're living in a time in America where I think we need more people to stand up and say, we care about you. We are glad you are a part of our community in CPS, and racism has no place here. And there's real work to do on that front.
Well, Ben, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And well, good luck. Good luck. Perhaps we'll
Appreciate it.
get a chance to talk soon. Yep. Take it easy.
Yep.
That's Ben Lindy, everybody. Gave us an hour, longer than I anticipated, but it just it was send me a message saying ask your questions. It's got a message. Ask my questions on speaker. I'm just seeing this for the first time. I will get to them. What do you think? It's Ben Lindy. What do you think about Ben Lindy? What do you think about Teach for America? What do you think about Ben Lindy being on the school board and also being the CEO of Teach for America? Right? So a lot of good things. Interesting. When you think about his privilege, how will that inform him? How will that shape him if he's on the school board? What do you think? My time is very, very short. I got to make a move and set up for the next show. Is It Just Me with Donnie B at 12:30 p.m. today. You can watch it on the Is It Just Me podcast Facebook group and also on Sin Digital Media. Check it out. I'll put it on my page as well, and you can check it out and or interact. She'll be talking about her observations from the Ohio debates. That's right. That's right. She was in the room. She'll tell you all about it. And she'll also be talking about a boxer that was tragically killed after being knocked out in the ring. So check that out. The Morality of Boxing. That's at 12:30 p.m. Plus whatever else comes up. All right. Viva la Chapas. Have an excellent day, Chapas. I'm just rolling out. All right. Just let that marinate and tell people about it and share it. And they can check it out. I'll chop it up in terms of add bookmark to it, to the conversation so people can get to the various points of it. But I thought it was interesting. I did hear a little, I did a little there and there, hidden there, but you know, it happens. And, but I thought that, I don't know. I think differently than I think about Steve. To be honest with you, Steve, if you listening, at least I keep it real, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. But I need some more time to process and kind of break it all down before I give any deep thoughts. I'm not trying to endorse or not endorse anyone. I'm just giving you my honest thoughts and you make your decision. I think that Teach for America is worthy, consideration. I think it's worthy a lot of attention because again, we're trying to figure out what's the best model for us, right? If you're talking about Black folks, African-American kids in specific, and we care about all the kids, of course, but if you look at the numbers, some of the kids are not doing as well as the other kids. Listen, we got a call. Let me go take it real quick. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Nathan. It's Nicole. How you doing?
Hey, Nicole. I'm on the air.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I wanted to say real quick, the candidates forum is Monday. The Judicial Candidates Forum put together by the Prince Hall Mason, Cincinnati, and ACP at 1740 Langdon Forum Road. This Monday, Community Action Agency. Like I said, it's the judicial race, very important race.
Oh, yeah.
Every candidate has accepted our invitation with the exception of one, but all the head-to-head races will go on, and it's titled The Search for Justice because this isn't just about filling a seat or popularity or voting for someone because they're Republican or Democrat. We're really trying to get to the core of what is necessary to fill this very, very powerful seat. To be a judge, you have the power and discretion to take someone's freedom. And so the type of person we're putting in that position, we have to evaluate. And we're trying to evaluate these individuals to determine if they're qualified to hold such a powerful seat. So they're showing up on Monday because your vote matters, that everyone shows up. I know you're going to be there, Nathan. Hopefully do some post and pre-interviews with some of the candidates as they wait to hit the stage, and then just with the audience to get their, feedback on what they think on certain candidates and whatnot. So it's going to be really, really good. I promise you. So just make sure you're there. 6 p.m., Community Action Agency, 1740 Langdon Forum, Judicial Candidates Forum. Don't want to miss it.
All right. Thank you so much, Nicole. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, most def. And, of course, I mentioned it earlier as well. It's going to be interesting. I know they've had some others. I'll be at this one on Monday. And I do like the element of being able to see people face to face or having that opportunity. And just sit there, man. Again, I just have a sixth sense. God gave it to me. It's like X-ray vision. Doesn't take long. And very interesting. I mean, I'm trying to see any thoughts on Mr. Ben Lindy here. Ben Lindy, you here? Any thoughts here? Any comments? What'd you think? It's Ben Thomas. That was a great comment. I'm glad I saw that and got it in. Listen, I'm not avoiding any comments. I'm just circling through. And on my screen, sometimes I can get lost here. Wish we could collectively have a list of needs. Somebody says never heard of them. Is that right? There we go with that, with the new masculinity. You channeling Black Lion, that's never good. It's interesting. But, Frank, you got to call back in. And he tried to call in while Ben was on. And I didn't prep him for that. So I didn't think it was fair to to put anybody on like that. See, and that's it. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for being here, folks. I'll be back with you bright and early on Monday morning. We'll chop it up on everything that happened over the weekend. And listen, be selfish this weekend. Take some time for yourself. Got a lot of high-thinking, high-performing individuals. You out in the community doing it in work, taking care of your families, holding down that job, maybe 2 job, taking care of your moms and them, handling your household. Take some time for yourself this weekend and chill and relax, okay? Don't do any drugs, and that includes the Wizine. Just chill and relax. Eat some pears, some apricots, okay? Eat healthy this weekend. And then bright and early on Monday, you'll be ready and we can rock again and we can talk about everything that happened, all right? So have an excellent weekend, everybody. What is your plans? Please don't tell me there's a party this weekend and nobody's telling me. All right? Put this date. Hold on, let me double check here before. I tell you what, let me hold off here. I was hoping to get another text message from my brothers over at Ride and Die. Let me see here. I'm trying to get the date in which I'm trying to get 2 dates, okay? But the first date that we're going to get is going to be the tactical training. So if you already have your CCW and you might be, hey, this is an opportunity for you to get out there on the range, come out on the range with us, and we'll make a good time out of it, okay? And we can get proficient. All right? Let me see here. He's shot me a date here, but I'm not going to put it out. Okay, I'm not going to put this out. Let me confirm with the brothers over the weekend, and then I'll get back with you. So on Monday, you can expect a couple things. The Nathan Ivey Show, 8 a.m., bright and early, chopping it up on everything that happened over the weekend. I don't have any confirmations, but I've got several invitations for judicial candidates and school board candidates to come on the show. But when they confirm, I'll let you know. All right? So have a good week. You can tell I want to go, but I got to go. Have a great weekend, and I'm out.